Hello. Hello.
Please reply to me on Discord chat. I want to share something with you about streaming that can help you gain more followers.
Well, help me do what? Hold on a second. I'm on live.
Okay?
1 second. What's good? What's good? The hell? This shit is fucking. Shit is mad crickets, nigga. I didn't do the running man. Hold on. I'm mad unprofessional, bro. Shit's crazy. Shit is crazy, B. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. We're doing streamers versus fucking 9 to 5 workers today, motherfucker. Pull up, nigga. I'm type hungry though. What's I get to eat, B? What's good, people? Get this song on. My intro, baby. Oh shit! I've got to put this dude's song on today, man. Leave a comment, man. If I don't see you, what platform you on, dogs? You on Kick? Any artists in here? Leave a comment so I can know you're here. I don't know you're here if you're not leaving a comment. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Shorty, what the hell, man? Leave me the fuck alone. I'm talking shit. I'm live and shit. The fuck? What's wrong with this chick? Balls in the nigga, man. What's good, man? So today we gotta do hold on a second. Let me play my anthem, nigga. Over there, balls in me and shit. I'm trying to. You trying to give me some business? Oh, this is exciting.
With the illest, we keep it real like a scrimmage. The EGL got no limits. They said we ain't in the building, but tell the boys that we in it. I'm moving at my own pace, so please don't come for the race. My whole team move like a train. I'm the doctor, you know it. I keep my whole team focused on the mission to show it how we can grow and keep going. How we can grow and keep going. EGL is the illest. 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 If your music is whack, we gonna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit them laps. If your music is whack, we gonna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit them laps. If your music is whack, we gonna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit them laps. If your music is whack, we gonna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit them laps. EGL is the illest. 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 If your music is whack, we wanna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit the laps. If your music is whack, we gonna tell you it's trash. Now hit that track and hit them laps. EGL is the illest. 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 EGL is the illest.
What's good, man? Yeah, today we're doing the streamers versus 9 to 5 versus streamers. We're doing 9 to 5 workers versus streamers, man. What's good, yo? Leave a comment, man. Make sure y'all join me on Instagram, Global Mail 83. I think it's Global Mail _83. I should have left my social media accounts. How you put the social media across the screen like these niggas be doing? Y'all niggas gotta give me the tips, man. The fuck? Let me know how you do that shit. What's good, Christian boy? I gotta follow you, bruh. You got a channel? Christian boy, how you doing, man? Thanks for following me, man. I need 3 more followers to get 100, dogs. $0 fucking dollars? Oh my god, they ain't paying me shit, nigga. Oh, fuck this shit. I'm getting butt fucked in the world. What's good? What's good, Christian? I don't get your messages. Like, what the hell? Why is Kick not showing the messages? This is connected to Kick. I don't get it. All right, what's going on, man? Let's get into this. I told you I was doing the 9 to 5 workers versus the streamers, so we can get a little take of streaming. You streaming niggas ain't. Let's get to this, man. Let's get to this shit right now, nigga. Stop playing with me, son. All right, share screen. No, don't share the screen. All right, what's the guest shit? All right. All right, we gonna do this 9 to 5 versus streamers. Pull up. If I play your music, hit me up. Leave a comment. I don't know you here. You gotta leave a comment. I don't know you in the building. Shout out to Christian boy. Shout out to Christian boy. I don't know what that means, but shout out to you, man. Good looking on the follow, man. I appreciate that, man. You know, I'm on the grind, man. I don't know what it takes. I don't know if you got a stream to get paid or you go buy fucking subs. Like, shit. Shit is mid as fuck, man. Let's get to the shit. Then we'll go over that boxing event I went over.
Oh, 9 to 5 is way harder, homie.
Why do you say that?
Because you gotta get up every motherfucking day, go to the motherfucking bullshit job, and slave for fucking pennies.
That's what I'm playing video games. I play video games on my spare time. I don't even enjoy streaming.
All right, let's get to it, guys.
What's up? How's it going?
Same old different day.
Yeah, okay. All right. So my argument here is that streaming and social media creation is harder than a 9 to 5.
Nah, it's not facts, bro. 9 to 5 is way harder, homie.
Why do you say that?
Because you gotta get up every motherfucking day, go to the motherfucking bullshit job, and slave for fucking pennies.
See, that's the thing is you're right. You get up every day, you go through the motions. You don't have to get a good night's sleep. You don't have to be focused. You don't have to be locked in. You wake up, you go, you flip some patties, maybe you sign a few envelopes, answer a few phone calls. With streaming and social media creation, you have to be on your game 24/7. It's like a switch that never
when you're a
turns
mail
off.
carrier, I'm a mail carrier, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. I get treated like shit every motherfucking day.
We have to deal with thousands, tens of thousands of people critiquing every little thing we do, every decision we make, every thought we have.
You guys got it made, man. I wish I had it made like y'all.
We don't have to sign a few envelopes and put them in a mailbox. We have
got it gravy, bro.
What's the next trend? What's the next idea? Oh my God, I have to stream today.
I got dogs that want to bite my ass
and you have lunch breaks. You have lunch breaks. We don't have breaks. We're on 24/7. You got high energy 24/7.
I wish I could be at home like you and get back and get paid big money.
We're not even at home. We're walking around. We're walking around doing things, going to parties, doing all this stuff.
I got to slave just for not even $100,000 a year. I got to work double overtime. Bullshit.
Okay, what about this? You're guaranteed to get paid. You have a
I'm not.
Steady rate.
You're not guaranteed? I don't work. I don't get paid. It's simple.
But you have a guaranteed pay. If you that's your decision. If you don't want to work,
I gotta work at the job.
If I don't go live, I don't get paid either.
You don't got to deal with people spamming L's.
Yes, we have people in the chat spamming L's. Oh, this is boring. We don't like this video. You have to create content. Imagine you have to be high energy. Oh, hey guys, how's it going? You guys like this stream?
That's me 24/7. I'd rather do that.
So why don't you become a streamer?
Man, that's what I want to do. F that. F this not a fine shit.
If streaming is so easy, how come every single person in this seat is not a streamer?
People are lazy. They want to put in the work.
That's their fault.
I get called fat all the time.
Oh, so what? I get called fat and chubby. All my homeboys call me chubby, fat, whatever.
That's your homeboys, though. I'm going to keep it a buck. That's a homeboy.
Yeah, and you're right, homeboy. You're right. But check this out. My nigga, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go out there and get that bag.
I think she's got something she wants to say.
Oh my gosh, wait, we're seeing a flag.
Unfortunately, these flags are actually useless. We decided to use a timer instead because we suck at explaining things.
So you raised your flag. Is there a reason you did that?
Because I was actually a cook for 15 years. So that means for 15 years, I had to get up practically every day, get dressed, go to work, and I had to deal with not only adults, but I also had to deal with children.
We deal with children every day.
We deal with tens of thousands of children and adults.
The Lacey Thugs are. Do you not know who the Lacey Thugs are?
I can't go out in public without 10 kids coming up asking for a picture. You know how hard that is of a life?
Isn't that special?
That is difficult.
How long do you think this is going to last?
Forever.
You think this is going to last forever?
I hope so. You just proved my point for me. I don't have that security that's going to last forever. Having a job, being a cook, you have that security of, I have a job, I have a degree, I have this. This could end for me tomorrow.
Hypothetically, if you all of a sudden you lost all your followers, what would you do?
I know what he'll do. Get a
No, I'm asking
trigger
him.
warning.
I'm asking him. What would you do if you lost completely all your YouTubers? You had nothing. No one watched you anymore. I didn't even watch you anymore. What would you have to do? You would have to actually go to work.
Go to work, you bum ass idiot.
Did I just cuss at you?
That's a slur. If I did lose all my followers, I would probably buy a couple houses and start my real estate empire.
Okay, so then you would have to actually go to work. You would actually have to go to the office.
And I would think that would be a much easier job than streaming.
You got to go into your setup, though, and sit in front of studio lights and read the chat and be interactive.
But no, he lost everybody. He has no followers whatsoever. He would have to turn around.
You're proving my point.
You would have to turn around.
You're proving my point on why this is harder because I could lose it all tomorrow.
Yeah, but you could lose it tomorrow.
If let's say you're a cook, right? Let's say you got fired. You have hundreds of people lined up. You can go cook over here, cook over there. You could be a private chef. You could be a private chef. Exactly. I don't have that security.
I was a cook in the school system. I cooked all frozen food.
But you still cook. You still cook. You go cook for another school.
I think I saw a flag right here.
Flags. I see red flags.
I'm gonna have to backlight Lacey. It's the truth.
I think something you guys aren't taking into account. Say we get a brand deal. I got to post on an Instagram story. I gotta go find the 4 Loco can. I gotta make sure, I get the 4 Loco can. And
Not to mention,
You have to do work.
it ruins our Twitter impressions too.
I gotta tag them.
And then that goes into falling off.
My name is Rhonda. I'm a registered nurse from the South.
Nice to meet you,
From
Rhonda.
Pine- 35 years ago, I decided to go to nursing school because I wanted to be a creative. I thought I loved fashion, I loved acting, I loved singing. But in the South, whole lot of racism back in the 60s and the 50s. People didn't give a rat's ass if you created something, and they wouldn't support your business. So yes, a 9 to 5 is much harder. I had to work 7 to 3, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I had to support my daughter.
Rhonda,
You get
Rhonda,
spoiled.
can I ask you a question?
Nope.
Have you ever
You
done
get spoiled. No. You get spoiled, and your mama and daddy
Rhonda,
can give it
Rhonda,
to you.
Rhonda, I got a question for Rhonda. I got a
did it.
question for Rhonda. Rhonda,
Yes.
have you ever done a subathon?
What's a subathon?
30
Yeah.
days straight,
24
hours a day.
day and night. No break.
We all streamed.
That ain't even healthy.
You're talking about.
I do subathon if I was getting paid.
2 30-minute breaks throughout that. You get to go home afterwards, see your
getting
family,
paid today,
relax.
though. They crying.
We were on camera 30 days straight, no personal.
What
If you know how
day
hard
were
it
you
is
a
to
registered
do
nurse?
have.
When did you get a break? You clean boo boo.
When have you ran a
You-
3-minute ad?
You
When have you
clean
ever
up
ran? You
vomit,
never ran a
you
3-minute ad.
pass trays. You're short-handed. You
Talk
don't-
about the
I
fake
would love-
relationships that you have.
Oh my God.
Now keep.
It's fake
Think
on
about
social
this.
media.
Think about this. Imagine
Sure.
every little person. We call them parasocials. They judge your
Parasocials.
relationships. You can't go out to dinner or have a girl take a picture in your car without them finding out and
I
judging
got
you
caught with
based on
my
it.
ex.
I got
in
caught with
public.
my ex, and I got treated like I was a pedophile for it.
But mental health. When you stop caring about what people think and what they say about you, do you? Do you?
Do you, nigga?
And that's a big problem with younger people. You care about what people think, social media, what they say about
Because
you.
that's our
Our job.
Suck
You
it.
said you're a nurse, right?
35 years.
What do you think's harder? 24-hour open surgery, like when you're helping with, the doctor center, or 24-hour stream?
24-hour open surgery.
Oh, brother.
Short-handed.
We're saving thousands. You're saving one.
All right, so you said 30-day subathon, right?
Yeah.
My argument is that none of you guys actually did any of the work during that, and it was all your filmers, your
part of the
editors,
face team?
your producers. All these people back here are the ones doing the work. You guys just show up and have fun.
They didn't do anything.
It's a group project.
No, because here's the thing.
Well, that's bad takes.
That's bad takes. That's bad takes. That's bad takes.
They wouldn't have any work if it wasn't for us, though.
I would even go as far to say, as every person in this room, we keep them employed as well. Because here's the thing, we get sponsors from these companies that have 9 to 5s, right? These companies, hold on. These companies are not viable without influencers to push the brand and keep them in business.
Have you ever worked a real job?
No.
So how would you
See,
know?
I have worked a real job.
What was your real job?
I worked 8 months. I worked a double. I worked Walmart and Panera at the same time for a
Why
year.
is she laughing? Bro, it's not. She's making me mad. I actually feel like they're wrong.
Hi, I'm Chris.
All right, Chris.
Why do you think a 9 to 5 job is not harder than what you do?
Well, you're guaranteed to pay.
Guaranteed to pay.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder?
No, it makes it easier for you.
Makes
guys.
it easier
Yeah.
because we have a guaranteed pay.
100%. You have
Makes
security.
it
forever.
easier
Talk about
for
raises.
Makes it easier for
Think
9
about
to
this. I
5
gotta go all the way
people
out to go talk to people.
to have a job because their pay is
Yeah, when you go to
guaranteed.
work every day, everyone's
So you're
like,
basing the ease of a job just on somebody getting paid regularly? Is that what you...
well, let's just say that comes to perspective. If you say someone who works food, if you're someone who works a doctor, it's obviously different. But if you're talking abroad, 9 to 5, someone who doesn't need a degree, yeah, it's way easier than being a streamer.
How so?
Well, it's because you're guaranteed and you don't need any crazy knowledge. You don't need to go to school for most jobs, like certain things like a 9 to 5. If you wanted to go work at Foot Locker, I could go to Foot Locker, apply, and then next thing you know, I'm selling shoes for pay every single hour.
So according to you, a job is easier or harder based on the guaranteed pay? That's one aspect of it.
Working
right?
at Foot Locker, working at a job like Panera or wherever Lacey is, is easier than a streamer. Yes, because a streamer you have to come up with ideas. You have to stay relevant.
We're talking about ideas now. Okay,
yeah,
we're talking about pay.
Okay, so what do you want to start with, though? But it doesn't
easier.
make. But
Well,
you're not even. You keep switching it. So why don't you answer my question?
I'm not switching anything.
You know, you 100% are.
Yeah.
So how is it harder if you're guaranteed to pay? I worked for 4 years of streaming. I didn't make $1.
Well, what's your definition of hard? That's the thing. It's like what
stuff that
difficult.
You need creativity. You need to get out of your circle, comfort zone.
Yeah.
You need to be able to actually make people believe what you believe in the sense of like, oh, this is good content. Do you watch any TV shows?
I watch YouTube.
Okay, you watch YouTube.
Much YouTube.
So it's the same thing.
Absolutely,
so the people that you're entertained by are the people like us, just for a different audience.
That's true. But you're talking about entertainment as a job. We could talk about entertainment.
This is entertainment,
as a job.
but this is entertainment.
Entertainment
but
as
my
a
question
job
to you
doesn't
is
have
why?
any guarantees. Absolutely.
So do you truthfully, you can sit here and think that working at like a Foot Locker or something like that, I'm just using that because that's the best example, is harder than a streamer?
It depends on what you are saying the word hard means to you. Because
in the sense of everyday activity. Because some people
hard.
around here said, oh, I got to wake up at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, we have to do the same thing.
Sure.
Some people do that.
And you deal with yourself.
No, we deal with millions
when
of people.
you're creating that content and you have your phone, you're dealing with you and yourself in that phone.
Okay, so what happens?
You're not dealing with
not true.
And you're not
That's not true at all. I have an editor that I pay who relies on me. If I stop doing any type of content, he loses
So when
a job.
you go to your job, when you go to work, rather than punching a card, you pick up your phone or you turn on a camera.
Okay, so when you punch the card, let's say, who's above you? Your boss, right? What happens if he just takes the business and he says, oh, we're not doing it anymore? You lose your job.
But if the work is picking up a phone or turning on the camera as opposed to going in with a bunch of people and having to multitask tasks you have to do throughout your shift and deal with your coworkers and interpersonal thing. Tell me how much you do of that stuff while you are actually doing your job for however many number of hours that you are talking and typing and shitting and eating and all that stuff that everybody's watching you do.
Go ahead.
No, but there's actually a mental aspect.
I understand that.
No. Let me hear me out. Camaraderie. Like you have like a group of people, like friendships, relationships, which is the most important thing in life. So do you build that with your coworkers and stuff like that?
Sorry, bye. See you later.
Seeing a lot of flags.
What's your name?
So I'm Angelina, and I work as an executive assistant.
You're right. You're right. She's right. She's right. I'm not gonna lie. She's right.
All right, so you guys were talking about the mental aspect, and I thought that was really interesting because as someone who works a 9 to 5, technically it's a 10 to 6, but I still have to clock in a certain amount of time. I come home, I'm too tired to cook. Fortunately, I have a beautiful girlfriend that does all of that stuff for me when I get home. But if I didn't, I would have to cook for myself and get to bed in time and wake up in time to commute back to my job. You guys talk about how it's hard because there's a mental aspect. And I understand as someone who's been on social media a lot that you get
How long
berated.
have you been on social media? Just to get broad.
So I actually did content creation starting at the age of 14. When I moved to LA, I gained like 10,000 followers off the bat, and I was very young, and I started working with different brands.
Okay.
I totally understand the mental aspect. It's just that you guys can afford to say, hey, I'm going to go wherever for 2 weeks, and that can be content, that can be your job, and you actually get to relax and travel the world and have other opportunities.
You're just saying a lot of points.
There's no relaxation.
Just I can answer a couple. So you're saying like to go back to the beginning, you're saying like you can manage like your time with like relationship. Was that correct? Like you have your girlfriend when you go home, like
I fortunately have a support system, but I every day like ask myself how I would have been able to do it without.
Example. So you said 14 you started. I started at 16. For about 3 years, I was making money and it slowly went super up. And then all of a sudden it went down, right? Yeah. I lost everything, fell off completely. About to kill myself. Real story. This is a real story. This isn't a joke. Why are you smiling?
We've all been there. Every 9 to 5 worker has been there.
So going back to what you said, how you have a support system. I moved across the country from my parents at the age of 19, lived alone in an apartment, was paying a certain amount of money every single month, and I was losing money. I wasn't making enough money to pay my like I had money in my bank for my rent, but I wasn't making more than my rent.
Yeah.
So I was
You were in the red every month.
I was in the red every single month. Girlfriend broke up with me at the time, so alone across the country. So it's like when you're alone too and everything's going down, where's my support system?
I don't like why she's laughing, bro.
Okay, so I have a question. You said that for the first 4 years you started streaming, you had no income. How are you able to survive?
I lived with my mom. I was 16.
So that to a certain extent is privilege.
That's privilege.
It is.
But my mom. How's that privilege?
It's privilege because you have the support system to have a place to live.
Well, at 15, 16, I would hope I have parents that would live.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't, and they have to take 9 to 5.
That's a whole different discussion. So a lot of people don't have houses.
A lot of people don't have families that support them or accept them.
But that's a whole different conversation. I wasn't doing the 9 to 5.
Because they still need to survive. So the fact that you were given.
So how did you move to LA?
I moved across the country as well with my mom when I was 15 years old.
Do you not think that's privileged?
I mean, we moved into a 1-bedroom in Santa Monica and shared a trundle bed. So
okay, well, I was reselling shoes to afford my mom's mortgage, and
I get it. I've definitely helped my family out in times where I was able to, but I also had to have my family support me in order for me to have certain opportunities to make money in the first place. So if you didn't have content creation, what would you be doing?
It's a great question. I don't know because I didn't set my goals that way. I set up my life to that. I know I would do what I want to do. If we all got paid the same every single month, let's say just in simple terms, we all got paid $100,000 a month, a crazy amount of money. Would you guys still, truthfully, I'm asking a serious question. Would you guys say that all of our jobs are harder than each other, truthfully?
Yeah, if she was a nurse, she had to go to medical school for years just to be able to have her.
But
foot
she
in the
knew
door.
that she was getting security because she was going to be a nurse, correct?
Not secure.
How is it not secure if you knew what you were going to do?
Nothing secure.
Nothing's secure. You just proved my point. But you just proved my point.
No job is secure, but content creation gives you the ability to have those savings, to have an audience. And even if you do lose all your followers one day, even if
let's say I lost it all tomorrow.
You still have residuals of your previous viral videos. Even if people are hating on you and shitting on you, that's still adding to what goes into your pocket.
There's literally doctors who do one surgery and make hundreds of $1,000s.
Because they were trained for decades and they had to go to
So
school.
are we.
You went to school to be a content creator?
Streamer University.
He said Streamer University. Hold on, man. I gotta pause this shit. This nigga said he went to Streamer University. He gonna know goddamn Streamer University. Shut your ass up, man. Y'all niggas ain't gotta do shit. Y'all was signed a deal and y'all start streaming. Y'all just gotta be doing fruity shit and act like a fruitcake. Let me get back to this shit.
How you doing, bro?
Good. How you doing?
Alex. Gabe, how we doing?
I'm doing good. So first of all, I want to say I do respect all of you for what you do. I mean, you guys do work, but you do not work as hard as people.
Yeah, I sometimes I talk over the video. Only reason I talk over the video because the video is not the way it's set up on StreamYard. I can't do a reaction to it because I can't do the reaction to it because I gotta click back over to the actual video from the window. It don't let me play it while I'm streaming. So that's the only thing I don't like about this shit. So that's why sometimes I talk over the video. We're gonna finish this up.
People who have a regular job.
You don't know that.
I mean, that I do know it for sure. It's very
leave
clear.
a
People
comment.
have to wake up and do their routine over and over again. It's not a daily thing. It's a weekly thing. It's a monthly thing. It's a yearly thing. It's a life thing. And if they screw up, they lose their jobs. And they always have to be careful because if they do something weird, they say something weird to their coworker or their boss, they're going to lose their job. If you lose some followers because of something you say, you'll get other followers. And you have a large following enough where there's enough of a range of perspectives that people will always be on board for you as long as you're producing content. People who screw up at their jobs and lose their jobs, and maybe there's a recession, there's not a lot of jobs, as could be now, they get potentially homeless or worse.
You ever heard of cancel culture?
What's that? Yeah, of course I've heard of it. But how many people have been canceled and came back? I mean, it happens all the time. Your boss is not going to be loyal to you if you don't get that thing in on time 5 times.
Okay, but check
you're
it out.
done.
Okay, so listen, but to be able to get that loyal following of people that do follow you, you need to build that over years and years and years and hours of trust and communication and intimate relationships with your audience.
Okay, so
that's not something that's just given to you. You don't just fall into 1 million subscribers, 2 million subscribers, 3 million
Of course
subscribers.
not. It takes work for sure. But like what you guys are talking about in terms of like the toll it takes on you, a large part of it, and let me tell you something, I'm a little older than you guys. So a large part of it is just general angst from being young, and you just happen to have a camera in front of you and like talking to people or whatever. But at the same time, like, you're doing exactly what most people are doing, which is dealing with life stuff. And that's normal. Like the mental toll that it takes dealing with people and getting comments and this and that, that's what everybody deals with. But you don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. and get to your job and then be there and like be on the whole time, no matter what. Anyone who has a 9-to-5 has to do that.
I said, what do you do?
Well, I'm a college professor, so I have to do that same
So
sort
you
of.
just gotta come in and teach the same shit for the next 10, 15 years?
Yes, you're right.
Come on, bro.
We
You
have to-
already know what you're doing.
We have to produce new shit every day.
For me in particular, to Silky's point, you're a college professor, so you're
You don't-
essentially
I mean, it depends on what type of
teaching-
streaming y'all
reteaching
do.
the same curriculum to the same
That I had to
students.
take
You know
years
what
to
I'm
learn,
saying?
but
You know what I'm
yes.
saying? But I started making content when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
It started out playing Call of Duty trick shotting. I don't think anybody in this room could hit a crane shot. I don't know if anyone in this room could quick scope.
I don't know if
So
that's
I had
something to be proud of, but okay.
So I had to do that for 4 years,
Okay.
right? And then I'm like, okay. Then I had to do YouTube for 4 years,
Okay.
right?
All right.
And then I had to do FaZe Clan, build FaZe Clan out, fix FaZe Clan, and then
Okay.
do streaming.
Okay.
So
And
you're
with how many
constantly-
people helping you?
How many people helping me?
Yeah.
Come on now.
For which stages?
All of them. There were a lot. You had a team.
When I was
Was it just you? Like
no. It
Okay.
was just me. There's receipts. Of
It wasn't built on the shoulders of anyone?
There's receipts on YouTube of me.
Okay, well, where did YouTube come from?
When I was
How did
13
YouTube become so
when I was
easy?
13
Because
years
a
old.
bunch of people worked their butts off 9 to 5, making it a thing.
That's
and
what
if
YouTube
it didn't
is.
exist,
So
if it didn't exist, you couldn't press
So the
play, you
fact-
couldn't press record,
So the fact that
and
you
then
have
just
a-
talk.
The fact that you have a campus to teach on, then
Yeah.
boom, then there you go.
Right, but I
Yeah,
also
I
had
have
to
a
spend
campus to
years
teach.
earning my credentials and mastering.
And I did it.
Come on, guys. Your credentials are playing video games. I play video games on my spare time. Come on, guys.
So you just want to get paid to play video games. It's okay. We understand.
I'm Vicky, and my perspective is coming from a hair and makeup artist, physical job. Doesn't seem like any of you guys can even compete with the physicality.
brother.
You guys just
I know how to do a 3-strand
just
braid.
just sitting on your butt and talking into a microphone.
know.
It's
So
very different.
So wait.
Very different than having to get up in the morning, carry all of your gear. You've got to carry all of your hair, makeup, all of your supplies. You have to haul it around, get up early in the morning. You stand on your feet all day. You never sit down.
I hear you. I hear you.
You're breathing in toxic chemicals all day.
All right, can I talk? Can I talk?
Hairspray.
Listen, so your whole
So
thing.
it's dangerous.
Listen, bet.
Your
Just
job
chill,
isn't
chill.
dangerous.
So
your
thing
job
is-
isn't
your thing
physically
is
taxing. You're just talking into a
So
microphone.
bet. Listen. So your whole
She
thing.
doesn't get that.
Your whole thing is we can't do what you do, right?
It's not
No, no,
physical.
no, but-
I'm saying that
I
a
just-
9 to
y'all let
5
me talk for a
job where
second.
you physically have to do
So-
some hauling around stuff.
So
and
physically, I physically
you're
can't
just
haul
talking
around
into a microphone.
bags of like makeup. You physically could never trick shot. You could not hit a crane shot. You can't 1080. You can't hold a controller and make a 200K montage. You can't. No one in here. Come on, man. None of you could.
None of
you could physically
and you have
go
to do that for 12 hours a day.
Yes. Actually,
You
yes.
take them 4 days to hit a trick shot. You take them 4 days to hit a trick shot.
Actually, yes, I would have
Hours
to
a
do
day.
that.
And then your day is never
Yes, I
done. When you're
would.
done doing that, is your job done? Do you have to go shopping and replace
No,
all of the things
wait.
that you
Stop.
use?
No. Listen,
You have to
Vicky,
clean
listen,
all of
Vicky.
your
You don't know
gear.
about dry streaks. You don't know about hit markers.
But when you're done, you're
You don't know
done.
about if the Elgato wasn't on.
When
Can
you're
you
done, you're
imagine
done.
these
Oh
things?
my God, disable
Elgato?
resample.
If I rendered my video in Vegas and I sent the editor the clips without disable and resample,
Oh my God.
my montage is fucked.
You have
Your main underlying argument here is what you do is physically
Daily, day to day.
Okay. Your main thing is what you do is physically more taxing and
Yeah.
hard than what any of us
And
do.
dangerous.
I could say the same thing. You cannot physically trick shot. You could never. I would go as far
Okay,
as
so
I don't
how many hours a day do you trick shot?
I don't think
How many hours
guys
a
ever-
day do you trick shot? How many hours?
When I was trick shotting, it was 12 hours a day. It was however long I needed to. However
Every
long I
day, 12
needed
hours
to.
a day
However
trick
long I
shotting?
needed to hit a clip. until-
12 hours a day, every day.
5 seconds.
And that clip is
He carries a Barrett 50 cal and he jumps off of stuff.
I would have to get on Call of Duty, turn my sense all the way up to 10. I would have to get to last. I would have to pray to God that he would be in the right spot, throw the concussion. Now I gotta have my rotations down.
Dead zones. Talk about the dead zones.
Talk about dead zones.
Stick drip.
Stick drip.
Thing is, for the most part, but that is not all YouTubers that are doing something physical. A lot of it is just talking.
Yeah, but she also said it was dangerous. We could walk around IRL stream and someone could rob us or kill us.
I gotta.
Wait,
they're laughing. But that's happened recently.
I've gotten a pumpkin thrown on my head by a crackhead.
Crackhead ran up to him on stream and almost
died.
Almost
Because he
decapitated
quoted
him.
his thoughts.
Yeah.
My name is Thelma. Pleasure to meet you, sir. I am very occupational. My last job, I worked as a librarian with elementary school children.
So
I have been an executive secretary, legal.
Very quiet, peaceful.
Yes, yes, all that, because it's who you are that we create social media all the time because that's what we are. We're 9-to-5ers and we interact and have energy with people where I don't think that you guys have that.
We have energy.
Are you serious?
You have false energy because you're across the screen. You're not interacting with people like we do.
So what are we doing right now?
Interacting?
What are we doing right now?
You're doing it now because we're doing a video.
Wait, isn't she debating Philly? That's making it harder for us.
Do you know that there's millions of people?
Now I'm not gonna have all y'all gang up on me.
There's millions of people who watch the video and
Yes.
save lives every
Yes.
day. Probably more than doctors.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's people that literally stay alive because they want to watch our videos.
You know about going out to the clubs at night, staying out till 10 o'clock in the morning, trying to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning so you can get dressed.
So you was
to
having
get-
fun.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so
So what I'm saying is like you guys don't do the interaction. You don't touch people like this.
okay. Now
What kind of shit's going on?
you go to the club, you get to put some shades on, and you go by your day to work. We can't do that because we have thousands of people.
But is
You're
that your
drunk,
choice?
You're high. You're
But is
hungover.
that
Just
your
get off
choice?
screen. We don't want to see you like this.
But is that your choice?
We don't like you like this. Why are you doing this?
But is that your choice? You chose that. You chose this life.
That's the thing. We can't.
And that's what's happening now. That's what's happening now with the whole world. It's a total disconnect. When you have a 9-to-5, you're dealing with people. You touching people's hearts,
We deal with
souls,
people's
mind. No, you are not.
Do you know how many names we need a day?
I think. Look, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, and I respect what you do.
Do you
because
watch
I think,
any entertainment?
Oh my
Of
God.
course, I watch.
So do
entertainment.
you
I
ever-
got kids.
wait,
I got grandkids.
Do you ever laugh? Do you ever laugh?
Of course, I laugh.
So then they
We're
interact with
touching
you.
them.
But the interaction is
Did
not
it make
real.
you feel better?
When I'm watching
did it make you feel better?
What make me feel
Have you
better?
ever
It all
watched-
depends on
have you ever been
it all
entertained?
depends- it
Have you
all
ever been
depends
entertained
on
and been like,
what's coming.
oh, I feel good?
Some of it is fake.
Right now.
Some of it is fake.
You're not answering.
So now let me.
Okay, well let me answer because I'm debating him.
Okay, yeah.
But go ahead.
Right after this, I got you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So when you're entertained, have you ever felt like your day was better if you watched something? You've never felt like that?
Yeah, sure.
So what's the difference with us?
The difference with you is that you guys do this 24/7. That's all you do.
Yeah.
Do you know? You just like you. Wait a minute. Somebody made a comment about, oh, I can't even go out with my girlfriend, or I can't even go out in public.
That's right.
I can go out in public and be seen.
So it's
You know what?
easier.
I'm a very social person. I'm very popular in where I do and where I am. I do social media.
I'm saying what we do has not affected people. It's not real. How come when I go out in public and I meet someone and they're like, oh my God, wait, I loved your videos growing up. You're my childhood. I used to watch you
Or their
every
hands
single
shaking.
day.
Their hands shaking.
Like you were my child. You know how like we grew up watching Disney Channel?
Yep.
I've had people
Ben
come
10.
up hundreds of times throughout years of my life, have kids come up to me and say these things. So
Okay.
I'm Robbie. I'm a server at an Italian restaurant.
Come on, bro. Life's easy.
Oh, that's not fair.
He has the same menu, makes the same food every day.
First thing I'm going to say is nobody's going to say being a nurse isn't hard because my aunt was. That is the
My
most
mom
difficult
was.
shit. How are you going to disrespect your mom like
No,
that,
she
dude?
is right now.
You're going to disrespect
She
your
loves
mom
it.
and say that your work is harder?
She tells
That
me
is
it's
so rude,
Because
honestly.
she works 2 of them.
Okay,
She works at 2 hospitals.
Let me ask you something.
She said it's mad easy. She can work at 2 hospitals.
No disrespect. No disrespect, but what you do, I'm not your target audience. So break it down for me because I don't even get it.
Oh my God.
Let me ask you something.
You just said I'm not your target audience because I'm black. That's what you just said. You don't watch because I'm black, and this is what I'm talking about. It's harder.
He has to get judged every.
I gotta get judged every day. Everybody thinks I'm a hoodlum. I'm a nice guy.
He's a jolly dude.
I can't get a job because I got tats. I used to work at Costco's. I had the greatest 401k granted to me. That means that when I retire, I get the biggest stipend of my life. Do you know I could just sit there and just meat pack all day just to really realize that, what, maybe 20 years I'm going to be sitting on millions because I worked at Costco's?
Yeah, Will.
Okay. I didn't have to interact with nobody, just packing meat.
Yeah, Will. Come on,
Is what you do fun?
I mean,
do you enjoy what you do?
If I make it fun.
Do you make it fun?
I could make it fun.
Yes or no? Is what you do fun?
Not everything's fun.
What isn't fun? Break it down for me. What do you do in a day? We'll swap stories. What do you do in a day?
Okay, so it's very stressful, right?
Not fun at all. Because this dude was talking for 20 minutes about playing video games.
Whoa. It sounds like you're jealous. I'm not gonna lie. But
you're on his diesel.
Okay, so look, right?
So I'm jealous of a harder job.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was sarcasm. You didn't read it. No, I'd like to.
No. Listen to the time that I wake up. I wake up maybe 3-4 p.m. You know what I'm saying? I'm already drowsy because I just smoked the night before. You know why I gotta smoke? Because I just deal with thousands of people. I don't even like people. I gotta deal with thousands of them. Let him stay. You gonna stay for this, right?
Wait, but you still haven't described what you've done other than waking up at 4.
Okay, waking up at 4 p.m., right? Now wake up. I gotta brush my teeth, right? Gotta make sure because I got a lot of comments now. You know, he don't brush his grills. What does his real teeth look like? I gotta make sure. I gotta make sure that my
He got Chanel ears like a bad bitch.
And there's girls in his chat too sometimes. So
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
See him.
I gotta make sure I'm freshly saving. I'm not saving for this video. I already know what's gonna happen. It's about to be negative comments. Yo, save that little scruffy shit on your face. Cool.
So he got fat.
Now I have to game Marvel Rivals, but probably 1 to 2 hours before stream. You know why? Because I don't get to game it for after work. Like I could just game it after work, bro. I can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do that, right? After I do that, now I gotta sit here and plan with somebody what I'm gonna do for the stream today. Oh, looks like we got no content. All right, let's see if we can just scrub something around.
No content, no money.
No content, no money. Now look, probably by 8 or 9 p.m. I'm still probably thinking I got to do something for stream. My mind is fried.
You know what's crazy?
My mind
9 p.m. for him. Oh, I did my work.
He already did
I did my work today.
He took the same boss already.
You're going to sleep.
What? Do I don't want to hog the space here too much, but do you know the expression "give a man enough rope"?
You're losing me.
No, I don't know this. I don't know.
Basically, you're talking yourself into a hole, man. Okay, my turn. I'll be brief.
Wait, give a man a rope.
What is he?
Wait,
it means
is that racist?
Wow.
Get this racist out of here. He has no social cues. Right. Oh, you're back?
Baby, I want to say to you,
Rhonda.
I'm your black auntie.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. You say you don't like people. It's all about relationships that you got with people. So when you say shit like that, do you really mean that?
Do I not like people?
You said
I'd rather be in my own space. I'd rather be by myself.
And that's okay. But what is it that you're doing that's helping other people?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Saving lives. I'm a superhero.
He's a hero.
I'm a superhero, no cape.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You look great.
That's right. I'm Thelma again.
I believe 9 to 5 is harder. I mean, fuck. No.
I think streaming is so much harder. Why are you doing it?
I can't have a public relationship because of the public eye, how they judge my relationships. I had a breakup with a girlfriend that I loved so dearly because I chose streaming.
So my question.
I loved her.
My question.
I loved her, and you're laughing.
My question again. If you think it's so much harder, why are you doing it?
Because I'm passionate about it.
Okay, so you love it. You love streaming. So do you love it more than you loved that girlfriend?
That's what I had to decide.
Oh.
I had to make sacrifice, and
So
that's
you-
what you have to do.
so you lost
with
the
streaming.
human touch.
But guess what? If I had a 9 to 5,
lost the human
if I was
touch
flipping burgers,
for-
I could have had a girlfriend still.
But you lost the human touch for the streaming.
being a streamer, you have to be judged on thousands of people's opinions every single day. 9 to 5 person, maybe one,
But,
2, 3.
Okay, and then back to my point. Is that your choice? Was that your choice?
But that's not the point, though. The point
No,
is
that's my point. That's my point.
streaming is harder.
Was
than
that
9 to 5. That's the point.
You gave up your girlfriend for streaming? Come on now.
Shit, he ran up a bag. He
Yeah.
ran up a
I
bag.
ain't gonna lie,
You did it for a bag.
But the thing is, it comes to a point. Do I pick love and a future with someone I care dearly for? Or do I pick
something that I
future
love?
for something that I'm passionate about and motion? I pick motion.
I'll get the point of this shit.
Lala Costa.
Lala Costa?
Hey.
Amazing name.
I'm an attorney.
She makes a percent off people's.
Fuck up. Know what you're doing.
I like that.
You gotta
You had an opportunity to get
Streaming, you just say, hey, like I'm doing streaming.
that you
It's pretty much streaming.
could create yourself.
And I ain't saying some people.
Whatever you want.
Yes,
9
I
to
would.
5.
You do other stuff
take
with
it?
streaming too. You don't just sit
Because
there.
why?
Some people do
Because-
activities.
I don't even enjoy streaming anymore.
You don't. What? Come to this side.
No, but I have to because this is what I built my career off of.
You
started.
feel stuck.
I feel stuck. Yeah.
Have you ever watched a show and you stopped watching it?
Mm,
Have you ever watched a show and you were like,
all the time.
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to.
That TV
Actually-
show can't. It's done. What happens to all those actors?
It's
after that?
canceled
They gotta
because I
go to-
stopped watching.
Well, no, I'm saying if
Baby,
thousands of you
Honey.
stop watching.
I think you guys are mixing all
Yeah,
the issues.
Cartoon Network. It's like
and
they
not
got millions of
focusing
people.
on-
You guys know what Cartoon Network is? It's
Follow
gone.
and stop. Would you come up with a different brand then?
All those people are gone. Yeah, but pivot. That's the point.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a professional model, but
Okay.
I've worked since I was at the age of 14.
Okay.
I was a gamer too.
I just think personally, like I agree with Jason that I think streaming does take a certain more than a 9 to 5. And I also think, everybody in here, right? If you guys all try to be a streamer, right? And then we all try to do what you guys do.
You get L's in your chat.
The probability of everybody here trying to be an attorney is way higher than somebody making streaming a career.
Absolutely, your job is you just got lucky because you're a gamer. You got lucky. There's so many people
I was
like you out
talented.
there.
It wasn't
These
pure
days,
luck.
everybody's an influencer. Come on.
No. But
So many.
no. But specifically, what I do, I'm not posting selfies around the world. It's basically all pure talent.
Wait,
Okay.
Can I just why is he lucky? Why do we all get lucky though?
What is your talent?
Yeah.
Call of Duty. I was a professional Call of Duty player, the
So you were
game.
sitting at home and you're thinking, what am I going to do with my life while you were gaming? You're like, oh, let's put a
I was
camera.
16, so it wasn't really like that.
You weren't really thinking of what should I do with my life? Like, what should I study? What should I like? Where does my life go? You just got lucky.
It's not luck. It's
because-
just he's determined. He knows that's the only route.
He didn't get lucky. He put in hours.
Yeah, no.
That's what we do too. We go to
it
school,
wasn't
we
luck.
study.
Everybody's a little bit of luck. I think people who don't have a job, they feel they want to get lucky by getting a job. So I think people even having a job is some sort of luck.
He said, how many people of us could do this? No, it's luck. It's 1 of a million because for whatever
How is
reason.
that luck? If 1 out of a million, that one has to be the best. So how are you going to dismiss
Is
all
he
his
the
hard
best?
work and all of his
Is he the
talent?
best?
I got
Is
four.
it?
I got four.
No,
last year.
but
No. Let me give my statistics. There was over 300,000 people that played Warzone last year. This is the game that I play.
Okay.
I got 4th. So I was a top 12 player across the entire world.
And you're telling him
So that's not luck. That's
like
pure.
less than
That's pure
1%.
skill.
So you're dismissing. Is Michael Jordan lucky? Is LeBron James lucky?
Yes.
Are they lucky?
I mean,
No,
they have a
worked.
talent. They have
They
a
worked.
talent.
They had a
But
team.
it's,
So what
you
he
know how
did-
many talented people out there and don't get the chance, they don't get the shot at it?
I don't want to take up his time. So he's not talented.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Not
That's
at
what
all.
you just said.
You just
No.
said.
What he did.
I
to get
said
to where
a
he
lot
is-
of people are talented don't get the shot to do what he does.
Or people who
So
make
it's
it to
not-
that.
But I didn't even get a
Go back
shot.
to
It was
Philly.
I did it off the strength of me. There was no one who gave me a shot or anything like that. I simply was. You dead ass?
Yo, you being serious?
Why you laughing?
I
Why they laughing, bro?
It's not luck. I've been doing this for 13 years. I uploaded 3,000 videos. 2,000 was I edited myself while I went to college, worked a job, and still went to school.
And yeah,
So that's not. I mean, if that's
no,
fucking,
stand on it, stand on it.
if that's luck,
Where's the luck at in that equation?
Again,
is there a percentage? We are all lucky in some way, right? If we all have a job, we're lucky in some sort of way. But
God bless.
also specifically pure talent. And I worked on that since I was 16.
again, I work with many talented people. I'm not saying about you. I'm
Yeah.
just talking in general. And there's so many people that are very talented, never get a shot because they don't do the right thing. They don't go the right path. They don't meet the right people. So there are so many even talented actors here. They never get a shot. So I'm just saying it's pure luck.
It wasn't luck. I just saw an opportunity and just genuinely took it. It wasn't a handout. It was simply just, you know what? I'm talented at Call of Duty. This is what I want to do. It took me 8 years to make it a career. Is there something funny?
It's a freaking video game.
It's a talent.
Permission to dick ride? Hey, he's made tens of millions of dollars playing video games, so
Exactly. That's that privilege. That's that privilege.
But I'm saying though, you couldn't hop on a game and do what I do.
You couldn't do
That's
it.
a skill.
Your son couldn't do it. Your grandkids couldn't do it.
Some people
Your
can't.
son's grandkids could never do it. They could never do it.
Anything that takes a talent.
The genes are done. They can't do it. They can't.
How many hours a day did you spend?
When I was younger?
Yeah, when you were young.
Oh, I would wake up 3 hours before school. So I wake up at 4 a.m. and I would play before school. Bus would come at 7. I go to home, come back, and do it again. I was 16. What's funny?
See, there's a disconnect here because to you guys, when you guys were growing up, yes, it was just video games, it was whatever. But when we were coming up, we're like, wait, maybe we can make this career. Maybe if we get good enough at it and we create.
Do you not think?
good
Do you
enough
not
content,
think if you're talented at something, it's a God-given gift?
Video games is not. Like
You don't think you don't think it's talent?
You're just too old to understand.
That's I can't argue that because
Y'all could never
gotta
play
keep it a-
FNCS either. It's
I
the
gotta
same
keep
shit.
it a buck. There's a disconnect.
Same
You
shit.
come from a generation where this didn't exist. This career, you looked at this career and you laughed. Now, how come in colleges they're teaching courses on content creation and esports?
Oh,
when you grew up, this didn't exist. So no wonder you're gonna laugh when you hear this shit because you're from a completely different generation. You just don't get it, and I don't know if you ever will be able to wrap your head around.
Oh,
and it's fun. But it's like
And that's
again, it's
okay.
Oh, you gotta
That's
fight
fun.
back.
That's
You gotta
okay.
fight back. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice meeting you.
I'm Ronnie.
Ronnie, nice to
This
meet you.
past-
My name's Ronnie.
You were talking about job security. Are you familiar with layoffs, with being furloughed? Like taking
We
it back
fall
to
off.
that's being what? What does that even mean?
You lose everything. Every dollar. Everything. You lose everything.
Okay, and then you can rebuild yourself back. You
The same way
reinvent.
you can do if you get laid off. You get a
Yeah,
new
that's
job.
it's kind
okay.
of is it not the same concept? Like
I don't know. Back in 2020, when everybody was getting furloughed, everybody was like, "Oh, let me go to social media." That's kind of an easy alternative. So that seems kind of easy.
I know,
And
but
then
if you lose a job, you can't
just get another
no,
one?
You can search for. You have an opportunity to search for another one. No?
Okay, I've been searching for another one for 10 months. I interview every day, give the same spiel, have to give that smile of walking through my resume.
I uploaded videos for 7 years and barely got any views.
And did
It's
you
just-
wait?
it's-
You
it's-
uploaded 7 videos and
And
didn't get any
went
views
to school, and
watches you
still
and paid rent.
I know. I
still
stream and
worked.
work.
I worked
Oh, so that you had another job.
as an
I worked
apartment
since I was
attendant. Yes.
17.
Okay, and was that harder
Never had a streaming career.
Then what?
than streaming?
I started streaming
No,
when
I was on my
20,
phone all the time.
38.
Oh, as a
39,
parking
40.
attendant, that doesn't sound like you were doing a very good job.
I was chilling.
You were chilling. You weren't good at
Wait,
your
he's
job.
waiting for.
When cars park, they're done. Like it doesn't
Okay.
depend off the.
Well, that's
I'm not security.
that's
I just
a
go.
one
I
nine
go
to
like this. I go
five.
like this. Yo, right there. I bet. Do you think an aspect of a video game, playing video games, is a talent?
I would say it's a skill. I wouldn't call it a talent. You can master it with,
Ooh,
but
people
my
play,
nephew.
millions play video games, but there are very few people who are genuinely gifted at it.
Gifted? What are they, Mozart?
How is it not a talent? Why is it not a talent what he does?
You know what? I'm open to it being a talent. I think it's a skill. I think it's something you can master. I don't think you're a Mozart that you have this gift of like, whoa, when I put my thumb here and this thumb there and do this combo, I do this.
You'd be
flip.
surprised. I mean, there's people out there who are genuinely
That they have their opposable
the
thumbs
most
like
gifted-
so good.
That's like saying, here's a paintbrush, go paint me Picasso.
Yeah, that's
like,
I'm saying.
what?
I'm saying this is so hard. If there's certain games that have $1 million prize pools, if there's a skill you could just learn and you're looking for a job for 10 months, go pick up a controller and go hop in this $1 million tournament
You
and
could
win
never.
it.
You
And
couldn't.
win it.
You couldn't. You couldn't.
Perhaps.
You couldn't. You couldn't. You couldn't.
You
You
wouldn't
couldn't.
qualify.
You couldn't.
What do you mean I wouldn't
You can't even
qualify?
find your OBS stream key. Stop playing.
I need to work for it,
I know.
but
So like, but you're dismissing what he does. You're just dismissing.
I'm
Like,
not
oh,
dismissing. I'm saying
it's
that's
not a
easy.
skill. It's not a talent.
I
Like,
said it's a skill.
it's
I
easy.
didn't say it's a talent. I said
I
it's a
think
skill.
it's easy.
It's a
You
skill
gotta
that
But
you
how
can
do
own
you
and
how do
you
you
can
know
master.
how do you know if it's easy if you haven't done it? Like if
I
you don't.
played Mario Kart. I've played other games.
Not a professional level though.
If you
No,
got,
not a professional level because that's not what I'm trying to pursue.
I know. So, but you don't understand what it takes to be on that sort of level. So how can you try to dismiss it and say it's yours is harder? How do you know?
What does it take to be on that
Because
level?
I've worked at 9 to 5.
Yeah. What does it take to be on that level?
Just gift, and you got to play all
Just
the time.
gift?
Tens of thousands of hours of work, and editing, and filming, and constantly.
I'm just talking
having
about
to
pure
innovate and
skill. As far as like the
reinvent
videos and stuff like that, just off pure skill.
I had to put tens of thousands of hours.
Could you get a
into my
refresh second
studies.
zone tarping? Could you?
I have no idea what you said.
Could you get a refresh going into second zone with no mats? Can you get a refresh on the best players? You
I
couldn't.
can also I can circle back and give
Do
you
you know how to
different
short launch
terms
pad?
from
When you're
my
trying to get to third
industries.
zone, third moving. Do you know how to short?
No,
launch
I
pad?
don't. But if I
Exactly,
want,
you couldn't, but Excel sheet, you can do Excel sheet.
no, but exactly.
They're just talking game.
These
As
refreshes
a
don't come to
babysitter,
you.
I can talk to you about the different things I do and ask you, could you do that? No, but if you wanted to, you would.
If us four
Put on
took 3 days, you don't think we can master an Excel sheet?
Oh,
But let me give you, if I give you 3 days about a video game, do you think you could be that talented as me?
if I wanted to, I would.
So let's pay for her whatever it is.
Okay,
give you 3
please.
days, but if you lose, you got to give us it back in double.
No, that's not how
what
the job works.
happened?
You pay me,
What
I'll get the job
happened?
done.
I would say, in a sense, yes, because you have to put in the work and you got to be on 24/7.
It's difficult to answer that question for us, I think, because we didn't come up in this time.
See, I can speak on that shit because I do both. I can see your message now, but I do both, so I see that. Yes, streaming is not easy. You got to keep people entertained. I ain't saying it's not harder than 9 to 5. Actually, 9 to 5 is actually you got to actually get up and work. You can just stay on streaming and you got to keep people entertained. That's what streaming is. I don't know. I know there's not really a big debate. 9 to 5 actually is somewhat harder than streaming. You got to actually get out your house, go travel. If you ain't driving, you got to take the public transportation, or you got to drive. You got to whip, but you got to actually work for somebody else. You ain't got to take orders from nobody streaming. So that's why streaming is a little more easier. And I'm not knocking it. Streaming is not easy to do. You got to have niggas actually watch you. If you ain't watching you ain't getting paid. I stream. I don't get no views like most people. I'm not getting 20,000, 30,000 people in my stream. It takes years to get that shit. I don't even think the guys that's getting big views now was getting a lot of views back in the days. But you got to have it's just a lot of shit with that shit. These guys I don't know. I don't follow FaZe Clan. I just like this topic that he did. This content was actually good. Other than that, I don't really watch FaZe Clan. No disrespect to them. I just don't find them like they're mostly for audience. I'm an older audience, but this topic was actually decent. So
Time frame in this era. And technology is totally different now because we were just talking about playing tic-tac-toe on the sidewalk with cop. I appreciate and respect what they do, and I think that's the consensus for most of us that we appreciate and respect where they are. Yeah. But it's not what we did was we just feel like what we did was hard, and that's what I think.
So my mind was changed in the sense that now I'm even more convinced that normal jobs are harder.
Oh my god! Oh my god, Max, what's going on your finger?
Oh my god! Oh, fuck all that. No.
Here's something very interesting. I've always had this crazy ass relationship with the N-word. I don't think I've said it in like the past 10 years, but when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, there was these videos called Sick Animation, and I've probably said it once or twice in my lifetime when I was 8 or 9 years old. But it always confused me why this word can't ever be said, but then it's spammed.
Begin this hour with the U.S. targeted strike on 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. President Donald Trump sent shockwaves across the world after posting, quote, "A full payload of bombs was dropped." The move marks a significant escalation as the U.S. joins the conflict between Israel and Iran. And this is what we know so far. The Defense Department confirms the mission, called Operation Midnight Hammer, included 7 B-2 Spirit bombers. Those bombers left the Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Iran on Saturday. Another group of the same bombers flew over the Pacific to act as decoys. The lead B-2 aircraft dropped 2 bunker buster bombs on Fordo. And you can see some of the aftermath from the strike on Fordo in these satellite images from Maxar Technologies. Several of the tunnel entrances that lead into the underground facility were blocked with dirt following the airstrikes. Large diameter craters can also be seen on top of a ridge over the underground complex. We want to note the Trump administration says this is not an act of war. Iran quickly launched another missile strike on Tel Aviv hours after Trump announced his targeted attack on Iranian nuclear sites. At least 18 people were injured in the latest attack seen here. The two sides are now entering their 11th day of exchanging fire. Israeli forces continue their strikes on Iran this morning. Officials say they struck the heart of Tehran by focusing on regime headquarters. The Israeli military also says they are now targeting Iran's notorious Evin prison. Now, back here in the States, President Trump continues to defend his decision to carry out this weekend's strike. He also similarly suggested a regime change on social media. His post yesterday said, quote, "It is not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't they be a regime change?" Secretary of State Marco Rubio tried to cool down those comments on Face the Nation just yesterday. Take a listen.
So therefore, are you actually looking for regime change?
Well, that misses the point. I don't like that they chant those things, but one thing is that they chant those things. Another thing is that they chant those things and they have terror proxies are all over the world, and they have long-range missiles that can reach the United States one day, and they have the potential to be one step away from a nuclear weapon. Yeah, well, one day could be tomorrow, could be a week from now, could be a month from now. You know, all it takes is the flip of a switch. By the way, they're not going to broadcast that to the world. By the time we figure out that they're doing it, you have all the pieces in place, okay? It's like you have a gun here and the ammunition. It only takes 1 second. We have other targets that we could hit, but we achieved our objective.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang will join us in just a moment with more from the White House and the response. First, let's bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams from Iraq. Holly, thanks for joining us today. There seems to be a lot of confusion about whether there was any damage at Fordo. So what do we know, and do we have an idea if any enriched uranium was actually at that site?
Good morning, Mugo. Well, those B-2 stealth bombers seem to have done their work, at least judging by the bomb craters that seem to be evident in satellite imagery. There's a kind of triumphal tone coming from Washington, I think. President Trump called those strikes a, quote, spectacular military success. And then the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. Now, despite that, Iranian state media has claimed that stockpiled uranium was actually moved away from those nuclear sites before the US strikes, and not just Fordo, the site that's been getting so much attention and that is or was fortified. Now, we cannot independently verify those claims from Iranian state media, but we spoke to one Middle Eastern security expert who found it plausible that the Iranians were able to move at least some of their stockpiled uranium. And then on Face the Nation yesterday, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked,
Iranian missiles rain down on the U.S. base. With terrifying precision, a new generation of maneuverable warheads slips past American Patriot interceptors. In just 20 minutes, the devastation is staggering. Over $500 million worth of F-35s and advanced U.S. combat jets are reduced to smoking wreckage. And if you think the scenario is purely fictional, then you don't know how close to full-blown war we currently are. For 2 months, the U.S. has been strengthening its forces in the Middle East. At Diego Garcia, deep in the Indian Ocean, sit 6 B-2 Spirit bombers, America's most cutting-edge operational aircraft, and the only one slated to carry the GBU-57 bomb. These aircraft, and the 2 GBU-57s that each one carries, are a critical threat to Iran because of their ability to evade air defenses and destroy deeply buried underground military structures. But the U.S. also has sent dozens of F-35s and other combat aircraft, including F-15s, F-16s, and A-10s to the region. This is not a part of our fictional scenario. This is currently underway and preparing the way for a major strike against Iran. But Iran won't take it sitting down. And as advanced as America's air power is, it's completely helpless on the ground. Setting the stage to the conflict is simmering tensions between Iran and the United States. One of the first acts of the new American administration was to put maximum pressure on Iran. The president is seeking a new deal with Iran to ensure that it doesn't become a nuclear power. The only problem is, Iran refuses to negotiate with the White House, and from their point of view, why should they? America has proven that its word is worthless. It previously signed a deal with Iran to loosen sanctions in exchange for giving up its nuclear ambitions. Then, a few years later, despite being in full compliance, the deal was torn up. In the following years, new deals were proposed, and with the new administration in the White House, progress has stalled completely. America's subsequent attacks on allies and threats to invade their territory has only made the United States an increasingly unreliable negotiator. So, Iran has demanded third-party talks over its nuclear program. The reason for this is that if it can get a third party, like Qatar or the UAE, to mediate talks, well, then they'll become politically invested. Another betrayal by America will have political ramifications for the third nation as well. It's a strategic move to ensure the U.S. keeps its promises, especially now that its reputation on the global stage has taken a hit. For Washington, though, this seems like an insult, and so talks are currently being refused. Instead, the U.S. president has ordered a massive military buildup in anticipation of military action against Iran. In response, all of America's Middle Eastern allies and partners, save for Israel, have shut down their airspace to U.S. combat aircraft, limiting the routes by which U.S. warplanes could approach Iran. This dramatically increases the threat to American aviators, even those flying B-2 stealth bombers. It makes their approaches very predictable, allowing Iran to concentrate their air defenses in specific areas. So, how would any potential conflicts play out? Internal politics within Tehran are at a boiling point. The regime is increasingly unpopular and slowly losing grip on the population. The people of Iran are starting to embrace increasingly liberal values over the strict conservative religious order imposed on them. Headscarf mandates are being challenged by both men and women, and clashes with the secret morality police are frequent occurrences on social media, inflaming tensions. The American military buildup comes hot on the heels of Iran's embarrassing failure to strike at Israel in one of the largest missile attacks in history. The October 2024 attack saw over 200 missiles launched at Israel in 2 waves, but the only direct casualty was a Palestinian civilian who was crushed by the debris from an Iranian missile. The attack wasn't just a major success for Israel and its allies, but a massive embarrassment for Iran. This was after a previous failure in April 2024, when it launched the world's largest drone attack and achieved similar results. The Israeli dismantling of Hezbollah and the near total annihilation of Hamas has sent shockwaves across the region. And with Iranian proxy forces being pushed out of Syria as well, the cumulative effect has been humiliating for Iran's hardline leadership. Now the American military buildup, meant to intimidate Iran, is seen as the last straw. Pressure mounts from senior figures within the Tehran regime to act or face a political crisis. The Supreme Leader reluctantly gives his approval for a surprise attack on U.S. forces. This is meant to bloody America's nose and hopefully deter them from seeking further escalation. 2:45 a.m., May 12, 2025. The scheduled attack order is broadcast to mobile launchers and the Fars province, along with above-ground and underground missile bases in Khuzestan. Heavy GPS spoofing acts as an electromagnetic shield around the bases, just in case the U.S. had caught wind of the attack and was launching a preemptive attack. But no such American attack is incoming. The attack order has remained secret, and Iran's missile forces have been on the highest alert already for months. The target is Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, America's largest Middle Eastern facility. It is the key hub for U.S. Central Command, whose area of operations extends across all of Iran. The goal is to destroy the base's runways and adjoining runway infrastructure directly supporting air operations. The base's hardened aircraft shelters currently housing F-22 Raptors, B-1 Lancers, and F-35s are a secondary target. The air traffic control tower is also slated for destruction, but the high-priority target is the U.S. CENTCOM command post, buried deep under the base. The strike package consists of 20 Zulfikar ballistic missiles, 20 Desfo ballistic missiles, 10 Sajil ballistic missiles, 15 Fateh Mobin missiles, and 20 Shahed 136 loitering munitions. Defending Al Udeid is a THAAD battery and 3 Patriot batteries, augmented recently with reinforcements from the continental United States. The base also sports several CRAM systems for last-ditch defense around key installations. Out at sea, 2 American Aegis-equipped ships patrol the waters. Mobile launchers in the Fars province are the first to fire, quickly followed by launches from 2 of Iran's underground missile bases in Khuzestan. The missiles are prepped and fired completely from underground, with personnel loading new missiles into the firing silos without ever exposing themselves or their missiles to open sky. The fiery plumes of the missile's rocket engines are immediately spotted by loitering American infrared satellites. Dozens of signatures are registered in the first 20 seconds. An alert is immediately sent to the U.S. National Military Command Center in Washington, and from there to U.S. CENTCOM headquarters in Tampa, Florida. The alert is then forwarded to Al Udeid and all regional American military bases, even as far south as Diego Garcia. Within seconds of the first wave of missiles firing, 3 small civilian ships just off the shore of Qatar began firing missiles of their
that
own.
was funny, bro.
These are Iran's Fateh Mobin, 29.5 feet long infrared homing missiles that can be used to attack land targets or in the anti-ship role. They're also small enough to be loaded into cargo containers and disguised as regular cargo, giving them a huge element of surprise. The Fateh Mobin are targeting the American air defense radars and satellite dishes, hoping to blind the U.S. defense against the rest of the incoming missiles. Also lifting off from civilian ships just off the coast is a swarm of drones. Some of these are small drones that'll be used to monitor the attack and feed back intelligence to Iranian military commanders. But from containers right on the ship's decks, a swarm of 20 Shahed 136 drones are unleashed. Each container holds 5 of the drones. They're launched using compact rocket boosters, one after the other, before switching to their rear propellers and diving into formation. The drones accelerate to 115 miles per hour, well behind the subsonic Fateh Mobin missiles. Both, however, take the same approach to their targets. After an initial arc up into the air, they dive for the wave tops and then ride right along the sea, staying under American radar. The only warning the Americans get is a brief alert as Patriot air defense radar spots the missiles and drones on their initial launch. An alert has rung out across the base, and American soldiers rush to the hardened bunkers rated to withstand missile attacks. Pilots, meanwhile, rush to their aircraft as air crews heroically ignore orders to seek shelter and instead scramble to get aircraft ready for takeoff. If the aircraft can be moved off the vulnerable flight line and put into the sky, they have a greater chance of survival. The Iranians choose an opportune time to strike. The hardened shelters are filled to capacity, leaving many American planes sitting out in the open. As the Fateh Mobin missiles approach at almost supersonic speed, air defense radar begins to track them. For the first phase of their attack, they've hidden below the horizon thanks to the curvature of the Earth. But as they get closer, they lose that cover and are spotted. However, they've managed to come to within just a few dozen miles by now, and they're moving just shy of the speed of sound. Patriot interceptors fire off, but there's no time for a second volley. Of the 15 incoming missiles, 9 are destroyed by Patriot interceptors. CRAM stations light up the sky as the missiles slip inside of the Patriots' engagement envelope, shooting out tungsten into the sky at a fearsome rate. The sky lights up with laser-like fire from their tracers, and 3 more explosions light up the dark as the CRAM strike true. But 3 of the missiles slip past U.S. defenses. Using AI, they designate themselves to priority targets. 2 missiles slam straight into the air traffic control tower, destroying it completely. The third missile homes in on a Patriot radar and knocks it out of the fight. Iran was hoping for greater success from the first wave of the surprise attack, but the destruction of the air traffic control tower will seriously hamper American efforts to coordinate air operations. And while the base has multiple air defense radars to protect it, knocking one offline will put a dent in the U.S.'s ability to defend against the rest of the incoming threats. The Egl missiles arrive next, moving at hypersonic speeds as they drop down on the base from an extremely high apogee. Patriot interceptors fire off, but the missiles are moving fast. 8 out of the 10 missiles are destroyed. The other 2 strike a fuel tank in one of the hardened shelters, destroying the F-22 inside. The depot explodes, setting off a fire that threatens to spread to adjoining fuel tanks. Despite the still ongoing strikes, firefighting forces brave the onslaught to attempt to avert a full-blown catastrophe. Out at sea, thanks to networked defenses, the Navy's 2 Aegis-equipped vessels begin lending their own support to the base's defense. The Shahed drones are targeted and destroyed. Only 2 of them manage to slip through. Meanwhile, the rest of Iran's missiles are arriving in numbers, greeted high in the atmosphere by American interceptors. A fireworks show results as missiles and interceptors collide at hypersonic speeds, the debris itself becoming deadly to anyone caught out in the open as it spreads out over several square miles. Another 2 hardened aircraft shelters are struck, and multiple F-35s are caught on the flight line and destroyed. The Shahed drones that survive to arrive at the base find the CRAM systems to be out of ammunition and dip low to strike at exposed aircraft. The entire attack is over in less than half an hour. Most of Iran's weapons have been intercepted, and yet the U.S. has already lost nearly $500 million in aircraft alone. Damage to the base will mount to several $billions. It'll take days for basic operations to begin again, and weeks for normal operations to resume. 1 American pilot is killed along with several ground crew, and dozens of Americans suffer traumatic brain injuries from the shock of the explosions. The debris kills 1 civilian outside of the base and wounds several others, causing outrage from Qatar. The question is, what happens next? While the previous scenario may have been fictional, it is very much a real possibility, and Iran is more than capable of pulling off such an attack. Knowing that they're outclassed by the U.S. conventionally, Iran has historically sought out asymmetrical ways of countering American conventional power. The use of a large missile force and drones is one of those ways, with some small enough to be camouflaged as civilian containers, just for such a surprise attack. Currently, America's options for attacking Iran are limited. Despite all its power, the U.S. very much needs the support of allies and partners, and at the moment, it is not getting it. Nations like Jordan and Saudi Arabia may not be friends of Tehran, but they also don't want to see a regional war in their own backyard. The collateral damage and resulting refugee crisis is enough to deter those nations from greenlighting a U.S. attack on Iran. This is why their airspace remains closed to any American warplane on its way to Iran. This is a big problem for American war planners, because Iran has a formidable air defense capability. The nation suffers from a mix of old and new technology, but it still presents a significant threat to U.S. planes carrying out an attack, especially when their avenues of approach to their target are limited and thus well known. With enough air search radars in one location, even the stealthy B-2 is bound to be spotted. And this is why a successful B-2 mission requires very careful planning around enemy air defenses rather than straight through them. A land war is out of the question, as the U.S. has no desire to get involved in another land war in the Middle East so soon. Iran's 610,000 active-duty troops also poses a significant challenge, mostly because they can do something that Iraq's military couldn't do when it faced a U.S. threat twice in its history: strike directly at American staging areas. Iran was a keen observer of the First Gulf War and the Second Invasion of Iraq, learning valuable lessons about how to defend against the American military. Chief amongst those lessons is that under no circumstances can you allow the U.S. to stage its forces prior to an invasion. Once the U.S. troops arrive in theater in large numbers, it's impossible to remove them. Thus, Iran invested heavily into its massive missile programs, giving it the ability to strike at all possible staging areas that the U.S. could use in an invasion of Iran. It doesn't matter how much stronger the U.S. military is. Superiority means nothing if you can't even get your troops into the fight. America's options are thus limited in a war with Iran to the use of air and missile strikes. These are unlikely to achieve the U.S.'s goal of either a regime change or a course correction on both nuclear and missile programs. Yet the Iranian regime faces one key weakness it didn't before. The Iranian people are growing increasingly tired of the regime, and they could become susceptible to U.S. psychological warfare and influence operations. America's strategy to defeat Iran would thus likely revolve around the destruction of military targets and power plants in the country, neutralizing military power, but also destroying the means to produce electricity. An increasingly angry citizenry would then likely rise up and demand a change of regime. Iran is already facing electricity shortages that are deeply unpopular with the population. It's not just electricity, it's also natural gas for heating and cooking, along with a shortage of gasoline. On average, Iran has a 20% deficit of electricity, a 25% natural gas deficit, and gasoline availability can be spotty at best. The energy crisis the nation finds itself in is one of its own making, along with the cost of financial sanctions by the international community. In order to avoid a full-blown public rebellion, Iran invests as much as 25% of its GDP each year on subsidies for energy, making it dirt cheap for the public. But that is only when it's actually available. These subsidies also sap the Iranian checkbook to the point that it's unable to keep up payments on the import of energy from the few places willing to trade with Iran. The energy subsidies may make the Iranian people complacent and prevent them from rebelling, but it also means that there is no financial incentive for the private sector to invest into energy development. The problem is a self-feeding one, growing worse every year. Due to a lack of investment, Iran can't develop more energy infrastructure, and yet it also can't afford to continue providing the energy that already exists. What few attempts there are at expansion of energy infrastructure are often met with huge inefficiencies and corruption. A lot of money is siphoned off by corrupt politicians or simply lost in inefficiency. The fact that Iranian gas is so cheap also means that it is creating a black market of its own making. It can be very profitable for enterprising Iranians to simply smuggle a significant amount of gasoline out of the country to sell to neighbors, decreasing available supply inside Iran itself. And then there's Iran's poor foreign policy decisions. For almost a decade, Iran provided Syria with up to 100,000 barrels of oil a day completely for free, even as its own citizens were experiencing gasoline shortages. The charity was at the time supporting Iranian interests inside Syria, but with the collapse of the national government there and the ousting of Iranian proxies, the energy investment is now a decade-long foible with no payoff. The energy crisis spirals into other areas of the Iranian economy, increasing prices everywhere from construction to food and limiting economic activity. Iran is basically a pressure cooker that's about ready to explode. A single successful American military campaign against the regime that avoids heavy civilian casualties could be all that is needed for a major regime change in the country. And that's why Iran has taken its own defense so seriously despite all of its budget problems. Without the help of allies and partners in the region, the US may be able to topple the Tehran regime, but at significant cost to itself. An America First policy that ignores allies has turned what should be an easy tactical victory into a potential minefield of consequences for the US and the region at large. What do you think would be the biggest risk if the US and Iran actually went to war? Would it stay regional or spiral into something much bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now go check out Iran's World War III plan or click this other video instead.
Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength, Iran's nuclear ambitions have.
I understand the president has now begun to speak on this announcement when it comes to the Golden Dome and perhaps as well when it comes to Afghanistan. Let's listen in.
Gutlein. I also want to recognize Senators Dan Sullivan, Kevin Cramer, and Jim Banks, fantastic senators, great talents, great political talents, and people that love.
Yeah, this is Trump speaking about whatever he's going to get planned for U.S. Yeah, War on 3 is amongst us, guys. By 2028, we'll be all on fire. We're all dying by fire. Damn. We're going to be feeling hell on earth. Make sure you get your peace with God, man. I didn't even get to get rich yet. I'm trying. I'm tight. I didn't even get the money I wanted to get yet. I ain't get the nice to go see countries and nothing. I ain't get to do shit. I'm tight. Let's see what Donnie got to say, man.
That love our country. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected.
Nigga, we not trying to go to war, nigga. Who gives a fuck about some missiles and all this, nigga? We want a peaceful world. We don't want to be fucking going to war with niggas. The fuck? I could have sworn I wanted not to go to war.
And architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles, even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful, and now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland, and the success rate is very close to 100%, which is incredible when you think of it. You're shooting bullets out of the air. I'm also pleased to report that the one big, beautiful bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial sort of a down deposit. And we have probably, you're talking about, General, we're talking about $175 billion total cost of this when it's completed. This afternoon, I'm also announcing that I will appoint, very importantly, General Gutlein to lead the ambitious new effort as the direct reporting program manager for the Golden Dome. Very talented man, and I'm very honored to have been the one that helped to have really created Space Force. Space Force has turned out to be a tremendous success. We were third in space, and now we're number one in space by a lot. It's not even close. And Mike is a 4-star Space Force general, the recipient of the Defense Distinguished Service Medal, one of the most respected people in the world having to do with defense. You know, we have offense and we have defense. I bet he's good at offense too. And he has an unmatched background in missile warning technology and defense procurement. General Gutlein also knows that we need to move fast. No one is more qualified for his job, and everybody, this was a universal acceptance of General Gutlein. Everybody that knows him and knows everybody else has said there's only one man for the job, so I have a feeling we have the right guy. But now I'd like to invite Secretary Hegseth and the General to please say a few words and describe the system a little bit. And we appreciate you being here. The press has really been very fair over the last period of a couple of months. I don't know what happened to you. It was so much more exciting the other way, but you've been very, very fair. We have very high poll numbers, the highest we've ever had. And I think we're doing a great job. We had a tremendous trip to the Middle East, as you know. It was a really amazing trip. And now I came home, and this is the one I was really looking forward to this day, because this is very important for the success and even survival of our country. It's a pretty evil world out there. So this is something that goes a long way toward the survival of this great country. And as I said, we'll be discussing Canada. They want to hook in and they want to see if they can be a part of it. That sort of makes sense. I guess that's what I was talking about from day one. You know, it just automatically makes sense, and it won't be very difficult to do, but they'll pay their fair share. Thank you very much, everybody. And Pete, go ahead.
Sure. Well, Mr. President, add this to the long and growing list of promises made and promises kept. Ultimately, this right here, the Golden Dome for America, is game changer. It's a generational investment in the security of America and Americans. Mr. President, you said we're going to secure our southern border and get 100% operational control after the previous administration allowed an invasion of people into our country. President Reagan 40 years ago cast the vision for it. The technology wasn't there. Now it is, and you're following through to say we will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones, whether they're conventional or nuclear. It's not lost on me, sir, also that you had the vision to start the Space Force. And here we are when the others said we didn't need it, here we are in the Oval Office with one of the leaders of the Space Force in General Gutlein, leading the charge on putting in place a game-changing Golden Dome for America. So, sir, it's an honor to be a part of this bold initiative. We're going to get to work on it. We have been since you signed that executive order on January 27th. We've been fast forward on this. We're here on this day, and this is just one stop in delivering this defense of the homeland, which is something you've charged us with doing, and we'll keep going until it is complete, sir.
Thank you, Pete. Pete's done a great job, by the way. Thank you very much. General, please.
Mr. President, today is a great day for the nation as we double down on protection of the homeland. As you're aware, our adversaries have become very capable and very intent on holding the homeland at risk. While we have been focused on keeping the peace overseas, our adversaries have been quickly modernizing their nuclear forces, building out ballistic missiles capable of hosting multiple warheads, building out hypersonic missiles capable of attacking the United States within an hour and traveling at 6,000 miles an hour, building cruise missiles that can navigate around our radar and our defenses, and building submarines that can sneak up on our shores, and worse yet, building space.
You bombed them, so.
It is time that we change that equation and start doubling down on the protection of the homeland. Golden Dome is a bold and aggressive approach to hurry up and protect the homeland from our adversaries. We owe it to our children and our children's children to protect them and afford them a quality of life that we have all grown up enjoying. Golden Dome will afford that. I greatly appreciate your trust in me and your nomination in me and your trust in the team to deliver this. It is a great day for America.
And also, very importantly, it's we're the only ones that have this. We call it super technology. Nobody else has it.
A Golden Dome.
Nobody else has really near what we have. So this is a very exciting project. This is something that will, the general said close to 100% protection. So that's something we need. I think it's a very, and everything's going to be made in the USA, by the way, very importantly. So it's something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I just noticed you two, Jim, you're standing there. Behind you is a very important document, Declaration of Independence. And that was in the vault for many decades right under this area. I have vaults with pictures on top. You have Abraham Lincoln. You see that was the original Abraham Lincoln, the original Washington. And does everybody know who the middle was? General Grant. And so it's very exciting. You look over here and above Ronald Reagan, you have Thomas Jefferson. It's Monroe from the Monroe document. And you know who that is, right? Andrew Jackson. So we have a lot of very exciting pictures, and on the other side, likewise, some great presidents and great people. And many of these pictures people were asking about, and many of them, almost all of them, were in the vault.
I was told by the television generals it would take 4 years to win, and we did it in 3 weeks. And it was headed by General Raisin Kane, who's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's great. Just left him. No, I think it's time that we celebrate. And I sort of have to laugh at these people. Well, you're going to spend a lot of money. A lot of that money is being paid for by me and people that make donations. I don't know if you know that. A lot of it won't even come out of the military. I think I can say that, Susie, right? We have people putting up money to do it. Not that it's necessary, because I think it's a great expenditure. We have many tanks. We have all sorts of new ones and very old ones, old from World War I and World War II. It's really a celebration of the Army. So the Army is a year older than the country. So next year we celebrate 250 years, but we're celebrating the Army on Flag Day. And it's not my birthday. It is my birthday, but I'm not celebrating my birthday. I'm celebrating Flag Day. It happens to be the same day, so I take a little heat. But Flag Day is the appropriate date. And we're celebrating 250 years of the Army, a great service. And remember, think of it. We won so much. We won World War I, World War II, so much else. And then we became politically correct. But I can only tell you that I was told that ISIS would take anywhere from 4 to 5 years, and we did it in 3 weeks. You were there, you watched, right? We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody can beat us. As long as we have our right leadership, nobody can beat us. If we have stupid people running it, like you had in Afghanistan, when you look at that, first of all, Afghanistan should have been an easy victory as a war, but we were so sad the way we fought it, so ridiculous. We fight not to win. But we didn't used to be that way. And we're celebrating because I think the day in Afghanistan was the saddest period of time in the history of our country. That was a Biden mess with bad generals like Milley and others. They were bad. They were incompetent generals. I know all the good ones and the bad ones. We got rid of most of the bad ones. But it was time to celebrate, and that's what we're doing. So it's on June 14th, and it's going to be a parade the likes of which I don't know if we've ever had a parade like that. It's going to be incredible. We have even though it's the Army, we have a lot of those Army airplanes flying over the top, and we have tanks all over the place, and we have thousands and thousands of soldiers going to bravely march down the streets. It's going to be a beautiful day, I think, and we're going to celebrate our country.
You spoke of leadership, and real quickly, speaking of Gavin Newsom, is he the right leader for California, considering how massive their economy is and all this U.S. investments coming in? Is he the right governor and leader for the future of California and for U.S. investments?
I don't think he is. I mean, I think he's done a terrible job. And, you know, he's a guy, I always got along with him. You look at his past statements about me. I was a great president. I always took care of California, you know, all that. But I'm just talking on results. You look, you know, he has the advantage of beautiful weather, maybe the best weather of any state when you think about it. Beautiful weather, beautiful ocean, beautiful everything. You have all the advantages, and he didn't take advantage of that. And he's let people come in by the millions who are overrunning your hospitals, your education system, and your police. Your police are being overrun. Look at what's happened. He should only be happy I sent in the military, because if I didn't send them in, you would have had a problem there, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. Yeah, please. Thank you, Brian, very much.
Supersonic flight. Supersonic
flight.
Sir. I know you just signed an executive order on it. Do you want to see a supersonic Air Force One in the next 10 years or so?
Oh, well, I don't care too much about that, but I would like to see, you know, if you think about it, flight, the word flight's an interesting word, but it's probably the only category where we've actually gone backwards, because we used to have the Concorde and we could fly to London, Brad, very quickly and nicely. And today it takes you 2 times and 3 times as long. It's the only thing where we've regressed. By the way, the Concorde, to my way of thinking, to this day, Michael, because you're very much into aesthetics, I know, but to this day was one of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen. It was a piece of art, the beauty of the Concorde. It was the most beautiful plane, but it was you know, got you there in half the time. Now you spend a lot of time, and there's no reason for it. Because, you know, they have the sonic boom. It's not a huge problem, but they have the sonic boom thing pretty well figured out. The technology changes, the change in the skin, the change in weight, all of the other things. There's no reason why we shouldn't do great. So we are making it possible for them to do supersonic and get us back on the track. I mean, think of it, 30 years ago, we actually had planes that flew much faster than we do now. It took you half the time to get to a location. So we've regressed, and we're going to progress. Okay? Right. Sort of an amazing thing, isn't it? We've gone backwards. On Wall Street, they haven't done that. If Goldman Sachs was like that, you wouldn't have Goldman Sachs anymore. Yeah, please.
In Los Angeles? Are you going to deploy Marines in California?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think we have it very well under control. I think it would have been a very bad situation. It was heading in the wrong direction. It's now heading in the right direction. And we hope to have the support of Gavin, because Gavin's the big beneficiary as we straighten out his problems. I mean, his state is a mess. And I'd like to get somebody involved in the rail, because, look, personally, it should have never been built, because you can fly there for $2. And what are you doing? They're doing that. You could drive. You could do lots of different things. You know, if they did a study, if you gave every passenger the finest limousine service in the history of our world, the most expensive chauffeur-driven white glove limousine service back and forth, we would have saved billions of dollars as opposed to building this monstrosity that's going up. And I've never seen anything. You know, I've seen cost overruns. I'm a person, I've always done well on cost overruns. I don't have them. But I will tell you, I have never seen cost overruns. You see them where they're 20% more, 50%, 100% more. These are thousands of percent. Nobody even knows. They have no idea. And it was supposed to be from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Well, they just made it way outside of Los Angeles, where it's stopping in the middle of, I don't want to say nowhere because I happen to like one of those little cities very much, but it's way short of the destination. And our government is saying, you know, why are we involved in this thing? It's been handled so badly before him, but he really blew it. So, you know, all right, one more question.
Speak to any of the discussions that were had there and the purpose of that retreat, your time at Camp David.
On a what?
Your time at Camp David. Can you speak to what discussions were had there and the purpose of that retreat?
Well, I don't want to speak to discussions. I mean, I told you what we were there for a little bit. We had discussions on many topics. We had a group of people, a large group of people, including generals and admirals and lots of others. And all I can say is our country's in great shape. We're in great shape economically. The bill that Mike and Jason and all the people are working on is going to be, I think, amazing. I think it's going to be one of the most important pieces of legislation we've ever had in this country. It's going to do things that you wouldn't believe. And we're going to, you know, I have a very simple phrase. We ran an election on very simple words: make America great again. That's what we're doing. We're making it great. We're making it safe. We're making it beautiful. And we're making it very wealthy again. You know, wealth is okay. You need wealth to take care of lots of other people. We have to make our country better. It has to heal from 4 years of abuse. Our country was abused badly by a very incompetent person and a group of people that weren't incompetent, but they were radical left lunatics. And they ran the country with an auto pen. And I hope that law enforcement's looking at that very seriously. That's like a takeover of our country in a certain way, because this guy had no idea what he was doing. You saw that during the debate. You saw that in other cases. I mean, he had no idea. I saw it years ago. By the way, 40 years ago, he was bad 40 years ago. We're not just talking about, and they always like to say age, but it's not age. I know people 88, 89, 92. Bernie Marcus, who just passed away, was 95. I spoke to him a year before. He was 100%. It's not age. It's something else. But whatever it is, you can't have that in this country. The damage he's done to this country is unbelievable. But the good news is we've got much of it fixed already, and the rest of it will happen.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, you just mentioned Iran. Did you discuss Iran?
Very
Did you
well.
discuss
We discussed a lot of
the Gaza war?
Yeah, we discussed a lot of things, and it went very well. Very smooth. We'll see what happens. You know, we're trying to do something with a country we just spoke about, Iran. I think you should negotiate this. You might be better. I think I'm going to send you today. What a good idea. This could have been the idea of the day. We'll have Dara get up and negotiate. They are good negotiators, but they're tough. Sometimes they can be too tough. That's the problem. So we're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. And we've told them that, and I've told them that, and I hope that's the way it works out, but it might not work out that way. We'll soon find out. Yeah, please.
In 2020, when you were talking about unrest in American cities, you said, quote, "We have to go by the laws. We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor." What changed now? Why is this situation different to not consult with Governor Newsom about this?
Well, the biggest change from that statement is we have an incompetent governor. So I talked about governors, but I didn't talk about, he's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it, because we have to make sure there's going to be law and order. You had a disaster happening. And they now admit it was a disaster. I watched the chief yesterday, who's a good man, by the way. And he said, well, we're lucky we did this because they were overwhelmed. You saw what was happening. So we did the right thing. Everybody agrees to that. But you have a governor who let the city burn down, didn't want water. to be sent down to them. I sent billions of gallons of water. I said I want.
Pointed out on the stream in regards to the war. We'd like to know your view on it. Somebody sent me the clip. Someone asked me Unique Takes earlier on what this whole thing could be about. Trump made a deal with them boys to blow up Iran's nuclear sites. Now regime change. Trump's post was just a threat to Khamenei to not retaliate harshly. Trump is the Mahdi foretold in the Quran. I don't know what you mean by that. Trump just announced a ceasefire in Iran. Yep, we looked at it. I think we have a Mossad agent in the chat that's trying to start issues with you and us in the chat with Zionist propaganda. We ban him, please, if he continues to cause issues. Who? Oh, Bobby Trauma? Or no, Robert? Oh, yeah, Robert LDN. Yeah, bro is. Yeah, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Oh yeah. Yeah, this he's a troll, bro. Okay, King Abdul says, "Hey, my random question. Let's say World War III were to occur during our lifetime. How would it affect technology?"
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Just a reminder that the more things change, the more they stay the same, and time is a flat circle. Iran is bombing American bases right now in the Mideast, okay? I'm not trying to take this glib or lightly, but I do want to give some historic context to it. First, the news. Pray for our troops as Iran fires missiles at 2 air bases in retaliation for nuclear site bombing. Iran strikes back. Let's read what's happening. Iran has launched 10 missiles at the United States' biggest air base in the Mideast, in Qatar. They've also launched missiles into Iraq, to American bases there, in retaliation for Trump's bombing of their nuclear facilities this past weekend. Aerial defenses were activated shortly after a credible threat was issued at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which hosts 10,000 U.S. troops, hundreds of aircraft, strategic bombers, and so on. U.S. bases in Kuwait, Iraq, Bahrain also sounded raid sirens. President Trump has convened his National Security Council at the White House. President Trump dropped 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs on the nuclear facility on Saturday night. Obviously, this is something that we don't want to happen. We don't want the escalation here. Iranian media confirmed the operation against U.S. military assets in the region were underway. We didn't begin this war. We didn't ask for it. But we won't let aggression against Iran go unanswered. I got thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen. This is apparently the footage of the American base getting attacked. You could see like the small explosion here. That's what people are saying. That's like the actual impact site. You can see here in the skies over Qatar, the air defenses of Qatar being activated to some just some yachts in the background and some house music. Classic stuff. Just classic, like, hanging out in the Mideast stuff. Wow, it seems, So there you go. 10 missiles been reported. Shelter in place has been issued for U.S. citizens in Qatar after an Iranian attack. This is the forward headquarters for CENTCOM. 10,000 American personnel. Okay, and also a smoke detector beep. So, there's your cultural enrichment. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some news on this attack. However, that this imminent attack and the explosions, obviously, some of the missiles landed, right? You can see the air defenses here. Some of these, that there have been, thank God, no casualties, no fatalities, and no real damage. Hearing reports of explosions in Qatar, other missiles suggest they've been launched at American troops in Qatar and then also in Iraq. Prediction: Iran will fire missiles into empty U.S. base in Qatar after pre-approval of the exact time and location of the attack with the U.S. to prevent any American injury. Then they will declare this victory a strong response. Well, guess what? We actually have historic context for all of this, and we're going to get to even more information as it is breaking of this attack. This is a dude named Qasem Soleimani, all right? He's a general. He was the most powerful general in all of Iran. He was in charge of this very powerful force called the Quds Force. And he's a real scumbag, and this guy's not a good man. He was a very bad person. And if you know a GWAT veteran who was maimed or got his Humvee blown up, arm or leg or eyeball blown out, or had one of his friends or somebody, one of his teammates put into the sand, there, it was probably because this jackass, there's a demon. The point is that this guy was in charge of killing as many Americans in the Mideast as possible. Bad person. And he got yeeted by President Trump. So badly, in fact, that you could see his famous little ring on his bloody, dismembered finger that was plucked out of the soil. Qasem Soleimani got sent straight to Jesus by President Trump.
Oh, shit.
And Iran did the exact same thing. In order to save face, it is a dictatorial regime. In order to save face, they had to launch a couple of weapons. And the background on that is that they literally called America and told us that that's what they were going to do. They're going to launch some weapons. And I think that's what's happening here. Ballistic missiles are confirmed. No indication of impact at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Lindsey Graham, Mark Levin getting their special socks out together in the shower, telegraphed and deployed to give Tehran an escalation off-ramp. U.S. won't need to respond. This was probably agreed upon behind closed doors. That's what everybody is saying. U.S. military facilities in the Mideast. I actually, goodness gracious, didn't know we had so many facilities in the Mideast. Look at all of them. There's an air base for Red, naval facility for the Anchor, outpost and radar facility. So, everywhere. Okay. So, all of the Mideast except for Iran. Got it. Come on, Iran. There's Bucky. We got Bucky's and Wawa waiting for you. Think about it. Think about it. Iran. Have you ever had stuffed crust pizza? Think about it. Do you even understand what an all-you-can-eat Golden Corral buffet is, Iran? Come on. No U.S. casualties. Pray. The UAE has closed their airspace. We have no indication of impact at this point, according to Fox News. They said nobody has been hurt. Donald Trump is in the Situation Room. They knew this was happening. He's in the Situation Room monitoring everything with his officials. This was clearly one of those pre-agreed upon strikes. That's what I would suggest. Qatar condemns Iranian attacks on Qatar. Good job. And now Qatar, relevant authorities can announce temporary suspension of air traffic, country's airspace, for safety, citizens, and visitors. So they suspended air traffic, and the Ministry of Defense says, the Ministry of Defense announced Qatari air defenses successfully intercepted missile attack targeting the U.S. airbase. Thanks to God, the vigilance of the armed forces, and the precautionary measure taken, the incident did not result in any deaths or injuries. The ministry reiterated that the airspace territory of the state of Qatar safe, and that Qatar armed forces are always ready to deal with any threat. The Ministry of Defense advises citizens to seek guidance on local.
Oh, there you go.
This is what's going on. That's what's going on right there. Yeah. This is the off ramp. Hopefully, prayerfully, pray for our troops. And this is what's going on right now. Right. So pray for de-escalation on this front. And that this is just simply a pretty flaccid show of force, and that what we're getting here is just round two. Time is a flat circle. There's nothing new under the sun. This is exactly what happened in Trump term 1 when Trump yeeted their boy, and Trump just yeeted their nuclear program.
Cheese is very dry.
So
it's like
time to chill.
no flavor.
Certainly what we're hoping for,
Watered
ladies and
down
gentlemen.
bullshit.
Here's the report.
Missiles, Patriot missiles, trying to intercept those ballistic missiles. We have no indications of impact at this point. As you and I discussed before, there were satellite images from last week of Al Udeid, where the U.S. normally has a large number of transport planes, refueling planes, that those tarmacs had been emptied of those warplanes. But Al Udeid normally would have 10,000 U.S. troops based there.
Oh, wow. So they emptied all the warplanes. They emptied everything at the base. They took it all away. because they knew it was coming.
There had been warnings to U.S. embassy staff to shelter in place and at other embassies across Doha. We also now are learning that the airspace over UAE, the United Arab Emirates, where the United States military has another large military base, that airspace has been closed. And we also understand there could be an imminent threat to U.S. troops and personnel at bases in Iraq. That, if you remember, just 5 years ago, Iran fired ballistic missiles, dozens of them at U.S. troops in the wake of Qasem Soleimani's killing. So a lot of intelligence.
But nothing happened, right? It's like a show of force. Get a load of this breaking on my timeline right this very seconds ago. Iran appears to have coordinated its response as to not to drag the United States more directly into the fight. Uh-oh. Look at that. Iranian state TV. Breaking. Iran coordinated the attacks on the American air bases in Qatar with Qatari officials and gave advance notice of the attacks to minimize casualties, according to 3 Iranian officials familiar with the plans. Oh, bye. So the Iranian officials are talking with the New York Times. Got it. They're probably the publisher of the New York Times at this point. Iran reportedly gave advance notice of its attacks on airbase to minimize casualties. Iran gave a 12-hour heads up before launching their missile attack on U.S. bases in Qatar. No casualties are expected. The strike involves 6 missiles aimed at symbolic targets, signaling the response without any expectations of matching scale, damage, suffering. Okay, no casualties, no damage. Praise God. All eyes on Bahrain. Attack is ongoing.
I probably won't stream the rest.
All right.
Be out of here in a few. I gotta be back tomorrow.
Good job, everyone. Iran coordinated the attacks on the American airbase in Qatar. Today. There it is. This is directly from the New York Times. Iranian officials familiar with the plans. The officials said Iran symbolically needed to strike back U.S. at the same time carry out the way that it allowed an exit ramp they described as similar strategy to 2020, when Iran gave Iraq a heads up before firing ballistic missiles at American targets after the assassination of its top general. Well, there you go. Okay. Please give Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. Peace through strength and a little belligerence. Whatever. Okay? I'm down with it. This is what, let's get back to the business of this country.
In the Middle East. Hi, everyone. Mike Pace here. Thanks again for joining us. It is a new hour here on Live Now from Fox, just past 4 p.m. Eastern. We are 1 p.m. out on the West Coast as we continue to update you on the big story of the day as the Middle East tensions continue to grow. This is the latest from Qatar earlier today with Iran taking strike or trying to at least at the one U.S. airbase out in Qatar. So we want to continue to bring you the very latest here on Live Now from Fox. Again, bring you these updates here in real time. And we also want to get some analysis as well, talking to experts in related fields about what is next here in the Middle East. And that is why I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down for us this hour. Please welcome Ed Hussein, a senior fellow with the Council on Foreign Relations. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, who the fuck is that? Oh, beanhead ass. This nigga look like a fucking creep. Like one of them weirdo niggas, man. You gotta hit some laughs. This little beanhead ass, fucking sprout missile looking ass. What the fuck is that, dude?
Here with us, Ed. And first off, if I could just get your reaction to what we saw earlier today in Qatar.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. I appreciate it. I think Qatar is an illustration of the fact that there is a large American base in Al Udeid, and the Iranians feel the need to strike back for face-saving reasons, that they want to be seen to be in a position of having responded to the American-led attack on their nuclear enrichment facilities. So this is two things. One, a face-saving measure for the Iranians, and two, an attempt to say to America and its allies, even in the Gulf region, that the Iranians will not sit back, the Iranian government will not sit back and watch this.
And when we think about the next moves here, I mean, is Iran then hoping, okay, we tried to make a statement here. We hope now that President Trump and the U.S. Do not respond back? Or, I mean, is this something, because it would seem if you didn't have President Trump there, maybe this would all end. But having President Trump now as the president once again, it seems like it could ramp up even more. I mean, what's your feelings?
My honest assessment is that, and this is based on President Trump's previous comments, that when Qasem Soleimani was killed during President Trump's first era in office, the Iranians called the White House and said, we will conduct an operation near an American naval base. Please don't respond, and please ensure that no one is on the move. We just need to do something to show to our people that, look, we can attack an American base. And lo and behold, President Trump understood the messaging, the thinking, the instinct, the theater behind it, and nobody was killed. Similarly, here in Qatar, Al Udeid Air Base is almost a city in its own right. Nobody was killed. I suspect the Americans, especially the White House, were informed of this movement. And if there is no further escalation, this may well be the end of the matter for now. But my fear isn't so much what President Trump will or will not do. I think he's wise enough, considerate enough to understand that this was a requisite move, and America, by all measures, has done what it wanted to do, again, with no loss of American lives, destroying the American nuclear program. My concern is this: is there an internal attempt inside Iran to remove the supreme leader? Does the supreme leader die for other reasons? Are there other intelligence operations led by the Israelis and others that we don't know about inside Iran? Does something happen inside Iran that causes a scenario that forces escalation? But this recent attempt on its own, I don't foresee resulting in any greater escalation.
And Ed, what was your thoughts when we heard, before this weekend, it was the White House position that they did not seek a regime change in Iran, but that all changed by a Truth Social post by President Trump just yesterday. What did you make of that?
I think, Mike, that it was right for President Trump and the American administration in general not to seek regime change in Iran. Given the mistakes of regime change and the disastrous consequences in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and in other parts of the Middle East, I don't think President Trump, or for that matter, the MAGA movement, is about regime change in foreign countries. It's up to those individuals and their countries to decide their future. I also think it's dangerous for Iran to have a regime change that's imposed by either America or Israel, for the simple reason that the Iranian composition is Persian, is Arabic, is Baluchi, is Azeri, and you open up an ethnic tinderbox, and it's not in American interest, or I'd argue even in Israeli interests, to want to get involved in a country that is so complicated, so ancient, and so on the border of so many of our allies and so many military and naval bases, that it makes very little sense. It's in our interests and in the Israeli interests to minimize chaos in Iran and to ensure that the Iranian mullahs, the fanatical Islamists, don't have a nuclear weapon. We've ensured that. So I think from our perspective, from a Western and an Israeli perspective, mission accomplished. Let's just scale back. Let them have a few pops at a few military bases. As long as there's no damage done to American lives and American interests, we should be wiser, as per American President Trump's conduct so far. He's been very clever, very shrewd, very sharp, no leaks. The execution has been much smoother than the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan, for example. So let's continue in that spirit.
And do you think, I mean, it just seems like even starting when you look at it from last year's perspective with Iran to now, it seems like they've been exposed even greater, not only for themselves, but internationally as well. Is there any way that they could still come to the table and try to work something out? Or is it just right now, I mean, they're just trying to save face the best that they can?
I think, Mike, the answer is in your question. The key phrase here is save face. Iran is an ancient civilization. Its people have a very strong shame and humiliation culture. They've just been brought to their knees by a nation nearby of only 8 million Jewish people. They are a nation in excess of 19 million people, i.e. the Iranians. And you've had a superpower from across, two oceans has come in and destroyed their most advanced nuclear and uranium enrichment program. This huge humiliation. And the mullahs, despite all of this claptrap about death to America, death to Israel, have not been able to defend their borders. They don't have control over their own skies. I mean, it's a humiliating position to be in. So you just want to respect, you don't kick a man or a woman when they're down, as they say. You want to respect the weaknesses that they have and keep them weak. We don't want to see an Iran that's supported to the point of removing sanctions and therefore re-strengthening, reviving Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, anti-American, anti-Israeli forces in the region. And I think that's what our focus should be on. How do you ensure that the Iranian government in its current form does not regroup and revitalize its assets against American interests and American allies? And I think it's also worth bearing in mind that we don't want to bring our Arab friends and allies, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, in any greater danger. I think lots of people are uncomfortable tonight in that part of the world. We should be able to reassure our allies and our friends that being a comrade of America means that they're safer and not in any way put in any greater danger. And we've done that so far. I think that's the way we ought to continue.
Yeah, all solid points there. And lastly here, before I let you go, what was your take from some of the U.S. media's response and kind of their talking points from what happened over the weekend with the U.S. Striking Iran? I mean, it seemed like in some modes there were trying to take the, well, was it a big strike? Was it not a strike? Was it successful? There was a kind of a lot of back and forth. And I only bring this up because of what President Trump put on Truth Social earlier today, talking and really laminating the media for some of their negative ways on reporting of what happened on Saturday. So I just want to get your take on that and what you thought about that.
This is a great question, Mike, and it speaks to a much deeper problem here in America, that rather than support the American president at a time of a military operation, at a time of war, elements of the media want to poke fun at the American operation and want to be seen to be minimizing American successes, and want to believe the narrative of the enemy, in this case, the Iranian government, and its claims that sufficient damage has not been done. It tells us something about the moral compass of some journalists who would much rather believe America's enemies than believe America's allies and the American president and the American intelligence assessment. And those three indicators, i.e. Americans, intelligence agencies, America's president and America's allies, have confirmed that significant damage was done. The targets were chosen very carefully, and the nuclear facilities are no longer as strong as they were 3 days or a week ago. Now, that is success, and that success should be celebrated, and American military officials should be saluted, and no lives have been lost, and Iranians and the Iranian interests in the region have been weakened. And I think journalists have a moral duty to recognize that we've averted A, nuclear war, and B, American lives have been saved, and C, our allies and friends in the region, Arabs and Israelis, feel safer, and D, our enemies, i.e. the Iranians, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, feel weaker. That should be the narrative, rather than navel gazing and saying, President Trump's operations somehow have not achieved what they sought out to achieve.
Yeah, all great points there, Ed. I want to keep you on, though, right now. We are getting some breaking news. President Trump putting on Truth Social an update here. So I want to read this out to everybody and You stay on here, and we'll have your remarks at the back end of this. But just being put out right now, President Trump on his Truth Social saying Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected, and have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter there. So that is the big news there coming, and pretty much what you were saying there, Ed, earlier, that they did get the advance notice, and that they were just, he feels that they were just trying to make a statement to save face.
Yes, I mean, it's exactly, Mike, as you say, we were just discussing this seconds ago, and that is the Iranian approach to President Trump's America, one of respect, one of dignity, and one of fear because of the unpredictability of President Trump. But they just like those tweets when they're ending with "Thank you for your attention to this matter." There's an interesting language there, but I think the key point is
that's
the
a
Iranians.
sign up, I think, Ed.
Yeah, there's something about it that's really endearing. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's very businesslike. It's very, very precise. But I think the real line there is the Iranians alerted the Trump White House to this oncoming attack on Al Udeid air base. No lives were lost. The Iranians can pump up propaganda inside the country and say, look, we attacked an American air base. It seems as though now they're ready to de-escalate if they've been in touch with the Trump administration. And it seems as though, from what you've just read, President Trump is now saying to the Israelis and to Bibi Netanyahu, it's time to now de-escalate, bring the war down, and the Iranians want to talk. The Iranians want to engage. Be that via Turkey, be that via the Europeans, or be it directly, we will see in the coming days. But as things stand now, Mike, God forbid that there should be any unexpected developments, or the Iranian Supreme Leader dying, or an internal matter in Iran that we can't foresee. It looks, for the moment, we're reaching a place of sanity, and let's be open about this. American victory.
Yeah, very, very true. And I mean, it seems at this moment that everything, the tensions, even when I just read that through, that it seemed like it was lowered to such a way. Now, okay, so it seems like if the U.S. and Iran are somehow on the same page, does that automatically mean that Israel will too? Or will they have their own agenda still and want to maybe pursue?
My fear is that Israel has huge numbers of operatives inside the country. My fear is that there's a rogue operation of some sort against the supreme leader. My fear is that there are components inside Iran that think that the government is now so weak, it's time for a revolution of some sort. My fear is that there are elements that inside the IRGC or elsewhere that just feel so humiliated that any surrender from the top guns inside Iran does not cater to their sense of loss in Israel, in Palestine, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon. I mean, they've lost on every front. How do you reconcile that loss, that humiliation, that shame in a country, in a culture that develops on the basis of emotion? So I want to believe President Trump, and I want to believe that we now de-escalate, and that should be the normal course of affairs. But we should not discount or disregard the possibility of a rogue operation in the coming days, weeks, and therefore, it's you've got to thank God that someone like President Trump is in the White House that can look at the situation and know his priorities, know his friends from his enemies, and then realize that no amount of attempts to derail where we are now, a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of balance, should force any greater American action.
Well, Ed, it was great to have you on. Thanks so much for your insight and analysis. Also, great to have you on during that breaking news with President Trump's statement and live reaction.
Mike, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Great
you
to talk
so
with you,
much.
Mike. Thank you.
You have a great one, and we will talk soon. All right, everyone. We'll take another 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come on Live Now from Fox. All right, everyone, welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks again for being with us here. Very, very fast-moving hour right now as we take you out to the White House, where President Trump has just made some big announcements via his Truth Social that I want to bring to your attention right now. So this is a series of truths that he did put out saying that regarding the attack today at the American base in Qatar, I am pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being killed or wounded, very importantly, there have also been no Qataris killed or wounded. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so he puts there out there thanking Qatar as well. But then look at this one. This is the one that is making big news right now, as he says, Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected. And we have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then he signs it there at the bottom. And then he says this one, congratulations, world. It's time for peace there. So President Trump wanting to take maybe a victory lap right now in what hopes that there will be these de-escalation efforts that we have seen from his post. He's hoping that Israel is going to want to do the same in the region as well. So some big news that was made there. We know that President Trump was in the Situation Room earlier today with his National Security Council and other members of the top brass of the Pentagon to continue to get updates, and they were monitoring it all in real time when this attack was happening at the U.S. Air Base in Iran. So we'll continue to follow those developments for you and so much more on Live Now from Fox. If you want to take another 2-minute break, we'll be back with much more top stories from around the country and around the world.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a little bit of what's going on with the war and shit. I like to be aware what's going on, as far as real shit in the real world's going on. Current events. I'm going to start doing news shit too, going over news shit, live news and shit, and get my takes on it. Any crimes and all that. Mainly in New York. I'll do worldwide news too. I could do it in other states too. I just want to know what's going on with the war. I knew Iran was going to strike back. Of course, they're going to clap back. But they pretty much saying Iran is not like that. They ain't got no money, no resources, and their allies don't even want to support them for the war. They don't want to get involved. They ain't saying they scared, they shook of us, but they don't want to get. They're not with them for that. They're with them for, I guess, some other type of resources. I don't know if it's the oil or gas, whatever the hell they with Iran for. I can look it up. Let me see. China's not supporting with the war. Let me see.
Basically, they're saying the Iranians stop.
I was just looking. Yeah, they got actually China does supply the weapons. First they said they didn't supply them. I don't understand it. I don't understand this foreign, all this stuff going on. For all these worlds of the current events of war. That's why I play videos of this shit. I wanted to be a fun. I'm learning a little bit of shit. Slowly but surely, going over stuff. So I can get a little info on what's going on as far as the attacks on each other, the World War III. We gotta be. I like to be aware of stuff. I know he's trying to entertain you. I ain't trying to educate you either, but I want to be entertained by this shit. I want to know what's going on. But I'm out, guys. I'll be back next week. Not the week, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm playing. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, man. Egl Network, we out. Global Mail, we out. I'm out, man. I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow, man. Do a lot tomorrow.